Welcome back, you lovely people. This is our one and only bike video for Saturday the 20th of July. And as ever, the man, the myth, the legend, the icon, the free, cheap and available man.
Yeah, true.
Steve Berry.
We've got so many bikes here. What a great sale.
I know. Well, it's because you're here now. We're getting more inquiries for bikes. We're getting more people want to consign with us because they know that you will talk about them. And whereas my knowledge is very scant and full of holes, yours is wide, expansive, and interesting.
We all have our specialities, Paul,
it's
don't
true.
we? And
it's true.
One day you'll find yours.
Yeah, I don't know what it is yet. It's clearly not fashion either. But talk to me about this. This is lovely. 1990, Suzuki GSXR. I like this period of bike design. This, to me, is very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it kind of went out of style for a few years, but now it's back with a bang. The GSXR750, bit of a legend. You won't find too many like this. It's kind of, if it was a car, Paul, this would be an Impreza WRX first series. And finding one of them that hasn't been bashed, smashed, crashed or modified beyond its life, very difficult. And the same with these. To find one like this is rare. Most of them have gone the way of all flesh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So I guess this has got a few tasteful mods. I see a Ikon and things on there. It's also had some lovely money spent on it. New brake lines, new fork seals, new caliper spring pistons, full brake service. Lovely paint on this, and it's a UK bike. But where does this sit in the pantheon of Suzuki greatness in terms of sportiness, speed, all-round performance?
Well, it's a great road bike, and it's actually a very usable bike now, because even though it is what we might call a race replica, the position, and I would mount it gladly, but perhaps we haven't got time.
Is that your best chat-up line?
Yeah, it's second best. I won't tell you what the best one is, but it's not too uncomfortable to ride. You know, you start coming forward in time from this, and you feel it starts to get a lot like this.
Because it's quite all right, and it's physically quite a large bike.
It's quite a large bike.
I think even a larger gentleman would be quite comfortable on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or lady, of course.
I'm tiptoeing on one of these, to be honest with you. At believe it or not, I am actually 5'10". He's just a giant and makes me look like a...
But you've worked with Clarkson, so this is small for you. But this is not going to be expensive. 2.5 to 3 grand, and your fees. You could be riding that home.
Yeah, and if you got the bike already and did the work to it that's been done to this one, you couldn't do it for that money.
There's not. I mean, there's a stack of bills.
Like you said, it's had some tasteful modifications. Fork seals, shocks have been done, brakes have been done. It's modified, but it's modified. It's not. It's still a Suzuki GSXR750, very much so. It's not. You know, it's not been modified so that you don't know what it is. Great looking bike. I think they're coming into their own, these.
I think they're absolutely fabulous. I would like to own that. I say 2.5, 3 grand. You could be the next owner of that. So now we're going full race, Yamaha R1. So this is 4XV R1 track bike, 4-stroke motor, full race fairings. This thing looks fast as parked there, doesn't it? Not been run for 20 years though, Steve.
Wow. Why not?
I don't know. What a shame. I guess it's been in a collection, and obviously what a lovely thing to look at.
There's always an interesting story. It hasn't been used for 20 years. Well, it's ready to go. I'm classic bike shows, track days. I'm doing stuff with them now. That'd be exactly the sort of thing you could take along there. In its time, that would have been a very competitive machine. But now, why wouldn't you? Instead of going to a track day, obviously track days, there's always the worry that you're going to bin it.
Well, that's true.
You know,
so I suppose if you're going to fall off on your leathers on a track where everyone's going in the same way and everyone else is on a bike too, probably the safest place to fall off, isn't it?
Yes. And with something like this, it's wearing slicks, the suspension, the brakes, everything is set up for the track. You didn't really need to do too much to an R1, to be honest. It was just about as race replica as a race replica ever got when you bought it as a standard bike from Yamaha. But again, this one's been modified, this carbon frame cover to protect the frame in the event of an unfortunate off.
And O-lins, were they standard fitment, the O-lins on there? Because they're rather saucy, aren't they?
I think you could get it with O-lins, and it's got the blue dot Yamaha brakes as fitted to 3 or 4 of the top of the range bikes at the time, thought to be the best in the business. So a lot of people might think, oh yeah, it's a bit of a big old heavy bus, but this bike's a classic now.
It is. And do you want to know the two best words in the auction canon?
I think no reserve.
No reserve.
We've said that before.
Yeah, so there you go, no reserve. So the customers, our lovely customers online and in the room, will decide what that bike's worth.
And it hasn't been ridden for 20 years. Wow.
I know how it feels. Moving on. So,
over there. Here we go.
Someone's put a car engine on the motorbike. What's happened here?
The CBX.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Yeah.
You know,
feel free to join in our presentation, by the way. But
and what great condition this one's in. This was Honda reasserting their position as the premium manufacturer of motorcycles, not just in Japan, although they all are always very, to me, conscious of that position that they have, but to the whole world, and saying, you want technology, you want performance, you want presence, how about a six-cylinder? Kawasaki actually beat them to the punch with the Z1300 in a six-cylinder.
Someone's put a suitcase.
6 cylinders. Yeah.
It's outrageous. I mean, it looks fabulous because it looks like a transplant. It looks like a factory hot rod. I mean, this thing is so wide. What's the dynamics of an engine that's like 3 times wider than the bike?
It's not though, Paul. When you actually measure it, it's not that big for a 6-cylinder engine. It's like you were saying. You do wonder why. Obviously, down the ages, motorcycles have had their engines pilfered for all kinds of four-wheeled motorsport. But the CBX, a technological tour de force, and I'll tell you something else, it looks great, and this is one of the 3 best-sounding motorcycles of all time.
I can believe
one of these, going down the straight on a circuit, or going past you on an autobahn at night, the sound of that 6-cylinder engine at full revs, it sounds, do you know what it sounds like?
Go on.
It sounds like an F1 car.
Does it?
A lot of people said that. And this one's in phenomenal condition.
Isn't it beautiful? Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. No advisories on the last MOT. Immaculate throughout. That ridiculous engine, obviously, as well. Good tyres, current V5, 2 sets of keys. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be a cheap item because, as you say, it is absolutely beautiful. 13 to 15 grand to ride that home, sounding like an F1 car.
Yeah.
And I guess, is that inherently better balance like all inline sixes are on a car? Do you get that lovely sort of smooth revving nature because it just, the reciprocating mass balances each other out, doesn't it? I'm guessing.
It wasn't the best idea for a motorcycle, really.
It looks good, though.
It does look good. And it was just Honda saying, I mean, if you want to go away from this after we're done, go on YouTube and look at Jay Leno talking about his CBX, which he's had from brand new.
Really?
It was literally, you know, like they say they have a halo car now for a manufacturer. When they make something that they're not going to sell a lot of, they're not necessarily going to make money on it, but they make it just to prove that they can.
Yeah.
This was Honda just saying, if we want to, we can do anything.
It is ludicrous. Come and look at this phrase as well. Look at the quality of the restoration of the wheels. It is absolutely stunning. So if you do want one...
you mean the first tubeless wheels that were offered on a production motorcycle anywhere in the world?
See, this is why I love working with you, Steve. I learn something every time we talk.
This and the Honda, because that's a combination wheel. It's got, I think it's steel spokes and an alloy rim. So they're never in that sort of condition.
Incredible.
Except on this bike.
That's incredible. So I'd give that a 10. That's a straight 10 for me, that bike. Needs nothing, does it, other than a rider and a little bit of fuel.
Honestly, one of those at full chat, there's no other noise like it.
You just scared several of our punters.
Sorry.
Yeah. Some of our customers are a little bit more elderly. They can't take that.
I love the CBX. Never had one, but I love them.
Now, this is another very pretty bike.
Yeah.
I think the aesthetic, whoever's put these together, probably Dave, has done a very good job. Here's almost instant dream collection here, isn't it? If you want to get an instant bike collection.
For men of a certain age, this is about it. And look, and here's the best bit. You can fit all of this in the same space as a car.
It's true, actually.
That's the great thing about collecting bikes.
Come down here with, it's probably 30, 40 grand. You could probably take all of these home, wouldn't you? I thought realistically. So this is a lovely 1989 Suzuki GS1000G. The G stands for gangster. It
does, and it was briefly the fastest production bike in the world. Not for long, but that engine, again, is legendary. Double overhead cam, indestructible. In this guise, I think it would have put out something like 80 horsepower, something like that. But drag racers, and especially you in the UK, proved that that engine could put out, the bottom end of that engine can handle 3, 4, 5 times as much horsepower and still hold together. This little collection, if Dave's put this together, really is a testament to the best of Japanese engineering. And at the time, not now, which I wouldn't have bet on, but not now, but back in the day when these were being built, the Japanese motorcycle industry completely dominated motorcycle sales. And you can see why.
Well, it's just the quality, isn't it, and the finish. They're like little sort of jeweler's watchmaking standard of engineering, isn't it? It's stunning, absolutely stunning.
They were pushing each other. The big four, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha, kept pushing each other. You know, one would make an amazing bike like the CBX, then the others would go, oh, okay, we'd better up our game. And they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And as a consequence, they built some amazing bikes, which were, importantly, affordable.
Well,
it's all very well like loads of performance in the car world, but in the bike world, you could buy what was the fastest bike in the world for, go on.
Well, this one you could buy for somewhere between £4,000 and £4,500.
Wow.
This one's coming in 1999, beautiful paint job, absolutely stunning, full motor overhaul as well, full tank restoration, full chassis restoration on this one, great tyres, motor starts on the button, and it just got loads of MOT history and some paperwork. That's a lovely thing for not a huge amount of money.
I'm trying to work out how many hours someone has put into polishing that motorcycle.
Isn't it gorgeous? Isn't it gorgeous?
Terrifying.
And this, again, going on, like you say, Japan's greatest hits, the 1982 Honda CB900F from America. We've imported this one.
It's
900cc, new tyres, just had 500 quid's worth of service. Another bike that's had a beautiful paint job on it as well. Rides like new, looks like new. Ready to go. Well, tell me about this beautiful bike. You can have this for £3,000 to £3,500, Steve.
The universal Japanese motorcycle, the do-anything bike. 4 cylinders across the frame, disc brakes, double disc brakes on the front. This is a bike that you could ride to work Monday to Friday, take to the track on a Saturday, whack it around the track, and then on Sunday, get your better half, whoever that might be, on the back.
Or someone's better half.
And go for a gentle trundle around the Trossachs.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
I love a trundle around the Trossachs myself. Isn't it beautiful colourway as well? It's fantastic. With the decals on it as well.
And again, this engine and development of the 750, the 4-cylinder 750 that appeared about sort of 1968. By this time, we're up to 900. A mate of mine lived in Liverpool, but he worked in Plymouth. And get this, he commuted, he told me, it was for over a year on one of these, but it was stuck in a gear.
Oh, really? Which gear?
Well, it was a gear that he could cruise at 65 mile an hour.
Probably third then, isn't it, I guess?
And I said, how long did you do that for? And he said, a year.
Wow. He had a one-speed motorbike.
Well, yeah, he had a one-speed, but because it's a Honda, and it had so much torque, this engine, he managed to make it work for himself. I mean, that's not a great story in terms of, I'm suggesting that's what people do. And we're not saying that this motorbike's going to get stuck in one gear.
This bike has all of its gears, we just had to point that out.
Yes, it's got so much torque that he could literally slip the clutch and get going, and then sit there at 65 miles an hour for 300 miles. And he was so busy, he just did that for over a year.
I love that.
They're indestructible. This era of Japanese motorcycle, indestructible. They'll go forever.
Well, a little bit later, so now we're moving to 1989, the Kawasaki GT550.
Yeah.
Very lovely, low mileage, beautifully maintained motorcycle, this one. So again, 4-stroke motor, another one, new tyres, recent service, 10 months MOT on this one. Again, all these bikes have beautiful paint, and all these bikes have got perfect paint. It's a UK bike, this one.
New chain?
Well, I guess it probably has, because there's a lot of bills on it.
No. Shaft drive.
Oh, is it?
You see, that's why I said that.
Well, I don't know, you see, this is why I asked you.
I know, yeah. This was very popular back in the day for people who had to do big mileages and needed a motorcycle they could absolutely depend on. Tried and trusted technology, everything on this bike they'd used before. But at the time and for the money, the specification was incredible. Very affordable. Again, comparing it to a car, it'd be something like a VW Golf.
Yeah.
Just something of quality, but that was affordable. And as a consequence, has become a bit of an icon. There'll be a lot of lads out there who had one of these and absolutely relied on it, just needed it and needed it to start and go for thousands and thousands of miles. And that's what this motorbike did. It just kept going.
Well, the good news is it's still affordable, £1,000 to £2,000. No, I kid you not, my friend. You could buy that. You could have that in your collection. I could see you on that. And then moving on, so again, just another beautiful bike. The aesthetic for me, this era, this whole 80s era, is very much flicking my
Well,
switch.
you like them because they're physically large motorcycles. And because you're a big lad, you can see yourself behind these big cows, can't you?
That looks like a very comfortable bike to ride that. So this
Our
is
next door neighbour have one of these.
Really?
GS850G, yeah.
1982, electric and kickstart, so you can choose whether you want to be physically fit or lazy, it's up to you. 5-speed gearbox, all these gears work as well on this one. Regularly used, very original, very complete. So not full show quality like perhaps a couple of the others are. So you've got the odd little mark and dink, but I just think treat it and love it as it is and just enjoy it, ride it, use it.
Oh, absolutely.
You can always tidy it as you go, but I think much more fun just to get some use out of it, don't you?
Yeah.
It's got some big horns.
It's got big horns. Yeah, well spotted. Great touring bike. As I say, our neighbour had one of these, and me and my brother, we weren't sure. We liked his bike, but we weren't sure about him.
Oh, he was a bit dodgy.
Well, we think he was using it to procure partners.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So would you recommend this as a method of dating? Would you?
Well, the thing was, he wasn't a very attractive man. He was a bit weaselly, if I'm honest.
Okay.
But he seemed to do well because he had a big, shiny, powerful motorcycle.
So there you go.
And in some ways, I sort of carried that ethos through life. You know, if you don't come up to scratch, buy a big, shiny motorbike.
So any ladies or gents watching thinking, I'm single at the moment, you know, I want to improve my love life, I want to get more dates, this is the way to do it. Yeah,
if you think you want a modern retro bike, but you don't really want to pay that kind of money, like a Triumph or a Harley Davidson, or they all do a retro bike now, a BSA or a Norton or something. Why not get one of these?
This is lovely. £2,000 to £3,000, you can own that, and then your love life will never be the same again.
And you won't see another one.
No.
You'll go out to the tea shack, there won't be another GS850G there, but there will be a Triumph Bonneville and there will be a BSA Gold Star, the new one.
And would you get the nod for this? If other bikers see you on a bike like this, do you get the nod? People go, yeah, oh yeah. Is it that kind of bike? If you were buying any one of these 5 bikes, which would give you the
CBX.
Okay.
Absolutely the CBX. That is one of the iconic motorcycles. That's one of the top 10 of all time.
Oh wow, there you go.
Absolutely.
And it's for sale and you could own it. So moving swiftly on, going smaller, cuter, and leaner. We're not talking about Steve now. We're talking about the 1975 Suzuki GT185, which is, like you, Steve, small but perfectly formed.
What a great bike.
And a very, very lovely colour with
I love this colour.
paint. Superb paint.
Ram air.
Yeah.
It's got ram air. What a great bike and a Kickstarter.
So this is just a little mini 185cc. Great tyre, starts the first few kicks.
What a bike.
Great paintwork. Motor runs absolutely like a sewing machine. And we've got the Haynes manual to come with it as well.
So
you can sit there tinkering. And all the paperwork and receipts. So tell me about this bike. So these are obviously a smaller, I guess, sort of more commuter-y starter bike. Where does this sit in
Not really, mate.
Is it not?
I wouldn't say so. No, this was more like... I don't know why I keep going on about cars, because it's with them with you.
I understand.
Because it's with them with you, my friend.
Yeah.
If this was a car, be a Triumph Spitfire or something like that.
Oh, like a proper little sports machine.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bread and butter car. It'd be a Sportster. This was a proper sporty little thing, this
Fabulous castings as well.
Yeah, and the Japanese were masters of that.
Yeah. I like the detailing on this bike very much.
They were sold a lot of these bikes here and in the States. Because look at it, it looks great.
It really does.
Can you imagine being sort of 17 and buzzing around on one of these?
How is this bike nearly 50 years old? It doesn't look it, does it? It's 1975.
Well, yeah, look at that. It's got disc brake on the front.
49 years old.
Disc brake on the front. And it would have had very respectable performance. Twin carbs.
It's a flying machine. £3,500 to £4,000 you could buy that.
Very usable as well. Do you know what that'd be? Like I'm just saying, if you're thinking, a Spitfire or an MG Midget, something like that. Just something that's a lot of fun, not a lot of money.
And nippy.
And guaranteed, when we walked over, both had big smiles on our faces.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the sort of bike that puts a smile on your face, that.
And also can't stress enough the quality of paint on this tank.
It's fantastic.
Come and have a look at this, Fraser. It is deep, deep metal flake, beautifully applied.
Look at that.
Perfectly lacquered. And also as well, no step on the masking as well, which is much harder to do than you think. That's very nicely done, whoever's done that. Beautiful paint. Very similar recipe, slightly different bike. 1975 Yamaha RD250, beautifully restored, 70s two-stroke.
Wow.
Restored to an unbelievably high standard. I'm going to run around here and look at the tank paintwork on this.
Yeah.
Again, who's painting these tanks, Steve? Which magicians are doing this work? Because I don't believe it had been that good when it was new.
Right, if we're honest, probably not when it was as good. I don't remember it being that good. But again, what a handsome bike.
Isn't it?
It's live, isn't it? It's live.
Like you, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how slim the handlebars are and the way that the bike tapers from here towards that, and the dinky chrome-plated indicators. Everything's either polished alloy or chrome, set off against this beautiful sort of pearlescent paint job.
But you know what I noticed as a rank amateur in the bike world, to me, is the design, the proportion, the shapes that they're creating here, and the way that flows from the tank into the seat. It's really thought out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very
And the other
beautiful.
thing about bikes from this era is, if you're thinking about buying one, you can take somebody else with you. Look at that, it's only a 250, but there's plenty of room on the back for, you know, and it's
Trundling
not
around the Trossachs, as you say.
Trundling around the Trossachs, or just getting the missus on the back and going off to a pub on a Sunday afternoon and sitting there with a bit of shandy, half a bit of shandy in the pub garden in the sunshine, while the birds sing and you look at the light glinting off all the shiny bits on your motorbike. What's better than that?
Oh no! And are you suffering from trundling around the Trossachs? Because I've got some cream you can use if you need it.
You said you were going to tell me about that later.
Okay, sorry. So we've magically appeared now by the 1997 Ducati
And why not?
Posto, so you can have your mate on the back of this one as well if you like.
They've got to be fairly... I don't think you'd be on there, my friend.
No. that is, I was going to say, I mean, who on earth, how long can your legs be? Small children, basically.
Or
Yoga instructors.
Very winsome and flexible lady friends.
Well, yeah.
Who may go a very short distance
Before they get tired and want to get off.
before they want to kill you. Yeah. It's kind of got two seats.
So this is lovely. So low mileage this one as well, 4,500 miles. It's done no mile.
How?
Because it's been in a collection.
It's what, 30 years old?
It's a 1997, so not far off.
Nearly.
Not far off. 2 keys, current V5, no damage to a single panel, and no miles since its last MOT. So it flew through its last MOT.
There's not a mark on it. The wheels, the exhaust, the gear changer, the forks. There isn't a mark on it. It's like a brand new motorcycle.
It's a bonny thing, and you will, to be fair, pay all the money for it because of that, because it's a lovely bike, it's in remarkable condition, and you will pay somewhere between 12 and 14,000 plus your fees. But then if you want one, you want to buy a nice one, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
You might as well have a nice one and not do any work. Just polish, fuel, ride, insure. That's all it needs. That's all it needs. In fact, it doesn't even need any polish, does it? It just needs fueling, riding and insuring. That's all it needs.
Termigoni's exhaust, it's got the right exhaust on it as well.
Is that going to sound
they sound
insane?
amazing. Now this looks like another brand new motorcycle. Where do you find them? Where do they come from?
Well, this is our amazing team. This is Jimmy and Dave, who've been working very, very hard to find beautiful bikes, collector quality bikes. So we've either got a lot of stuff from collections, we've got a couple of project bikes, a few fixer-uppers, a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah.
We like a fixer-upper if it's priced accordingly. But this is a Senna. So I mean, this is just anything that's got the Senna name on it in the car world is 11 million pounds. But this is a way to get something really remarkable. I would imagine quite collectible. If you're into the great man, if you're into Ayrton Senna, this is your chance to buy a Ducati 900 SS with his name on the side. But for nothing like anything else with Senna on would cost.
Go on.
£3,500 to £4,000.
Wow. Not the prettiest bike Ducati have ever made, but that's like saying not the prettiest Ferrari that Ferrari have ever made.
Very true.
So still a very attractive motorcycle. It's got the 2-valve heads on this motor. I think the red wheels really do set off this grey paintwork in the frame and all that sort of stuff. Is this a Japanese import? Was this originally...
Do you know what, mate? It does not say on my little thing here.
A lot of the Senna, anything with Senna on it, went to Japan, and this has got a sticker on the frame.
I'm saying there's a lot of Japanese writing on here, which I would suggest concurs with your diagnosis.
We don't need Poirot for this one.
No.
Yeah, wow, that's cheap.
That is cheap, isn't it? Yeah. And also, my loves, straight through its last MOT, no advisories.
Great.
Boom. So there you go. Ready
Just get on it, ride it, give it a polish.
So you can either get a McLaren for house money with a Senna on it, or you could get this for £4,000, which wouldn't even cover your first payment on your McLaren Senna. Never mind probably your first service on your McLaren Senna. You could have that instead, which I think is equally as brilliant. We've just got, this is the Ducati collection. You could immediately build yourself Ducati collection here as well, couldn't you, today? 95 900 SS.
I think this is my bike.
Is it?
I think I owned this motorcycle at one point.
This actual one?
Yeah, because it's got the carbon rear mudguard.
Let me just check for crash damage, hang on.
It's got the carbon rear mudguard. Right, let me tell you something.
Go on.
I definitely own this
motorcycle. Did you really?
When I lived in London. I'll show you a picture
That's not
of
to
it
grand
later.
off then, isn't it?
Because It's got the Australian carbon fibre kit on it, which was really. This bike is what now? It's on an M.
95
so it's
on
95.
an M. Yeah.
So the bike is 30 years old nearly.
So this is like Friends Reunited, live with Steve Berry here at
I think
Manor
this
Park.
is my
No way.
bike.
So tell me some fun stories about the time you had this bike.
Well, I was living in London at the time, and I used to. Oh no, I shouldn't really say that. I used to leave it in some strange places, but because it was a Ducati and because it was lovely, people always wanted to put it inside.
Okay.
So after I had a few and said, "Oh, I'm going to walk home and leave my bike there," they go, "Well, don't leave it there," and it was always pushed into a property. No, it's got. Yeah, I'm sure.
Are you sure?
I'm sure this
Because
is
you
my
didn't have
old
any
bike.
photographs of you with this bike, and would you sign the V5 for the new owner, as celebrity
Yeah,
owner?
absolutely. Because it's got the Sergeant seat as well. These are the best seats for Ducatis. It's
That's amazing. Was this a presser then, or was this actually yours?
No, I bought it off.
With actual money?
I bought it with actual money off an Oscar winner.
No way.
Yeah, an Oscar-winning cinematographer.
So this has so much provenance, this bike now.
He was at the Oscar ceremony, and Peter Jackson came up to him and said, "Come and work for me in China."
Really?
And so he put his bike on Facebook, and I bought it, and I think this is the bike.
That is amazing.
Sure
If that's true, we'll obviously try and provenance that. I appreciate that probably deducts value rather than adds value.
I'm going to show you a picture of this bike with this seat and this Australian-made carbon fibre aftermarket kit, because he bought the bike new in Australia, so we could check that.
It checks out. So they said bid on that with its dubious celebrity owner. HPI clear though. It's got the Termagoni on this one as well, so it's going to sound. Did it have the Termagoni?
Dry clutch, yeah, and the dry clutch, so it makes that rattling sound. People pull up next to you at the lights and go, "Hey mate, there's something wrong with your bike." And I go, "There are all sorts of things wrong with my bike because it's Italian, but the clutch isn't one of them."
But this
I think that's my bike.
Why don't you buy it back? It's
No.
£4,000 to £5,000.
Don't go back. Let somebody else enjoy it.
So if you'd like to buy Steve Berry's bike, he will give you riding lessons on that if you want that. Well, that's a lovely moment that we've shared there. Steve reunited with his
That's
old
my
bike.
old bike.
That's so cool.
That's bizarre.
But it's because it's really funny because I've had the same moment earlier because that's my car I did for my TV show.
Is it?
Yeah, it's come back. So just lots of people being reunited with wonderful things they've owned or created here at Manor Park Classics. What a wonderful place. What a wonderful place. 2002 this one, Ducati 998 in the best colour. I think I'd rather have a Ducati in yellow than red.
Yellow, fly yellow.
It's the way. It's the way forward. So this is low mileage, no advisories on the last MOT, mega service history. It's got a belt service in 2021, loads of paperwork. It's got the BIP seat cowl and seats.
Yeah.
It's got the another Termagoni. Everyone's Termagoni today. Termagoni, all the things.
Termagoni
Were they
all the
standard
way.
or is it just the option that everybody fits?
No, they didn't make the right sound as standard, and so anyone who bought one, the first thing you buy is the Termis and get them on there. I think they may have offered it in SP guise, and this with having, although you say that this single seat unit is an aftermarket job.
Well, it says here on my listing, I don't pretend to be the expert on these things. I just read what's in front of me and look to you for some kind of clarification.
Well, that's why I'm questioning it.
Yeah. So it looks good though, whatever it is.
It looks good. It looks, again, try and find a mark on it. Anyway,
It is gorgeous. Now this is
been
aged
repainted,
£10,000.
surely. It's been repainted.
I don't think it has. If it has, it's been done exceptionally well, hasn't it? I mean, the paintwork is flawless. It's not showing any bills for paintwork. Let's have a look. Let's go through. Oh no, it has had paintwork. There you go. I've gone through.
Yeah.
It has had a very, very nice repaint
Yeah.
to an incredibly high standard, and I would imagine at a very high cost.
The Testa Stretta 998 and the Agip logo and all that. It's a two-wheel Ferrari, this.
Yeah,
isn't
this
it?
mega.
It's a
It's even
two-wheel
in a Ferrari colour, isn't it?
And in sharp comparison to a Ferrari, the expected price is
8 to 10.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Why would you buy new?
I know. Why would you? Also,
Why would you buy
particularly,
new?
and also, if you are a true collector, if you want something to tuck away, never ride, look at, and impress your motorcycle friends, we're coming to this 2009 Ducati Sport 1000S delivery miles.
Wow.
Delivery miles.
So somebody bought it
Has never ridden it.
and just
Which in a way is quite sad because obviously it's never been enjoyed. But if you are a collector and you want to time walk back to 2009 and basically buy one off the showroom floor, here's your chance. It's literally a brand new bike.
Look at it. With styling reminiscent of the classic era of bevel drive Ducatis, like the legendary 900 SS.
Do you want to know the mileage on this bike? 1 mile.
1 mile?
1 mile. 1 mile bike.
You'd be tempted to just stick it in your living room.
Oh no, it's art, isn't it? It
It's
really
art.
is. It's beautiful. So there you go. If you would like to buy a 1 mile bike from 2009,
Wow.
which to be fair, you will probably never ride. It will probably continue to be an artifact. But you know what I've always thought? I've always wanted to do this. I mean, mate at Jaguar Classics offered me an XJS, which is a new old stock XJS.
Right.
I am so tempted to buy something like this, effectively delivery mileage, brand new, whatever
Yep.
it is, and then use it.
Yeah.
Because you will lose money without
Well, you
doubt,
can.
but you won't care.
There's a pal of mine in Canada, he's got this bike without the fairing on. And I don't think I've seen one with the fairing on before. It looks fantastic. But he's done incredible mileage
Good lad.
on his 1000 Sport. He's been all over the place. So contrary to the reputation that some Ducatis have for unreliability, retro styling, but all the technology was very much tried and tested on this bike. If you wanted to use this, what a beautiful motorcycle.
Isn't it stunning? Isn't it stunning? So
I don't
would.
think Ducati will ever do this again. They
No.
won't build a bike this retro.
So if you were to buy the equivalent model today, so this is going to be somewhere between
there is
19
one.
and 20. So, I mean, that's obviously not a small amount of money, but to buy a brand new bike, I mean, it would cost you more than that to restore a bike to that standard.
Oh,
and then it
absolutely.
wouldn't be unused, would it?
Yeah, and Ducati won't make a bike like this again. 1 mile from new, and it's what? It's 2009, so it's 15 years old.
Yeah. So that's a bit of fun, isn't it? So if you want one of those to either treasure, or I would say just buy it, ride it, and have an awful lot of fun with it. And I think that would be an absolutely amazing thing to do.
This is one of the best looking bikes that's ever been made.
Hasn't
Look
it?
at it.
Isn't it fabulous? So
What
have a
a
look at the
beautiful
pictures
thing.
on that. If you've got time before the sale, if you're watching these tonight on Wednesday night, you've got 2 days to come down and salivate all over that. And if you do really have an amazing Ducati collection, you don't have one of those, we've just found your bike for you. There you go. So back to the 70s,
Yep.
when we were both cool. 1977 Yamaha flat tracker spec.
Yep.
This is, just explain this build style, because I really like this.
Well, when we're done on Saturday at the sale, I'm straight off to Grimethorpe Castle.
No, in
which
Lincolnshire.
In Lincolnshire. Sounds like it's in Yorkshire, doesn't it, Grimethorpe? For the Malay Mile,
Oh,
at
yeah.
which there'll be many motorcycles like this one built in this traditional American flat tracking style.
Looks
And this
great.
really was Yamaha's attempt to build a motorcycle that was, some would say a homage and some would say a rip-off.
Yeah.
I'd say rip-off of classic Nortons, BSAs and Triumphs, except that because it was a Yamaha, it didn't leak oil all
worked.
over the place. Yeah, it worked. And so Americans took them to their heart and used them for everything, including flat track racing, which up until then had been the preserve of Harley Davidson. Really.
So is this all aftermarket, this lovely rear
very
fairing?
much so.
It looks great,
yeah, the
doesn't
bars, the seat unit. Yeah, it's a very cool look, isn't it? That
Yeah.
event that I'm off to, the Malay Mile, that's like the coolest motorcycle.
And is
All
this the perfect thing for it?
Oh, perfect.
Well, mate, 3 to 4 grand, you could take this.
It's Biking's Glastonbury. So if you wanted to turn up next year and be hanging with the cool kids, Paul,
Yeah.
you should get one of these. Well, you know, the old Kickstarter there.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, 3 to 4 grand. Excuse me. Just a little cut there because I sneezed all over your
I'll
sound.
tell you what, it'll be nice and fruity coming out of those two little
Well, they're little cherry bombs, aren't they?
silencers. Yeah, they're like cherry bombs, aren't they?
Yeah, from
On the
back in
end
the day.
there.
Look at that. I bet
High
that
spec
sounds
bike,
mega.
good tyres. It's all finished to a very high standard.
I really like this very much.
What's the reserve on this? Or is
Mate,
it?
estimate 3 to 4. 3 to 4 grand. This could be your bag, baby. It really could.
Yeah.
I could see you on this. This is just the right size for you.
Paul, you've got to be willing to let the back end hang out.
That's what I say to the wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. 2003, Aprilia RSV Mille. Good
The
solid
Mille.
example with recent service and a lovely fresh MOT. 12 months MOT, which don't you think, Steve, any vendor that's about to put a bike into an auction says, you know what, I'll just stick 12 months MOT on it.
Yeah.
Tells you 2 things. A, proper vendor. Second,
Yeah.
brilliant bike.
People, what I hate,
Yeah.
I don't hate too many things, but when people say, no MOT, but we'll fly through.
Yeah, yeah.
And you think,
well,
well,
didn't
go
you
on then.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
Go
see
on
you
then.
take it. So that's what you mean. So anyone that puts 12 months MOT on a bike at an auction knows what they've got and obviously knows it's really decent. So let me just give you some edited highlights. As I say, that recent service, that lovely MOT, of course, fully HPI clear, lovely smooth motor, sounds mega. This is not going to be an enormous amount of money. Somewhere between 1,800 quid and 2.5 grand would take you this home. And my word, that's a lot of bike for the cash, isn't it?
It's a great bike, great motor. I had a Falco, which is the slightly more touring-oriented version of this bike. Look at that banana swinging arm, the big old aftermarket blue frame, twin pipe exhaust on it. This has got all the performance that you need. I mean, it's not cutting edge technology. How old's this one now?
2003, 21 years old.
It's 21 years old.
I know, you're feeling old.
Wow,
You're feeling old.
Yeah. But, great looking bike. Do you know what it is? It's quite masculine.
Oh, yeah.
Styling, isn't it?
I like it.
It's quite, but it's not got that kind of overdone. It's the Italians, they can't help themselves. Look at that bike line there. They can't stop themselves from making things look good. It's like a disease with them, isn't it? They're going, no, we can't just have it plain. I was going to do a dodgy Italian accent, but I decided against it.
We do have some Italian customers.
Great.
But also have a look at the photographs online, because obviously it's quite hard when we're doing these walkarounds to get the best angle. It was brilliant as Fraser is on camera, but there's a profile picture of this on the side where
that engine.
If you don't want that for £2,500, we can't be friends.
Crazy.
We can't be friends. That's mega, and that's an awful lot of bike for the money. Moving on to, again, I think an utter bargain. So even me, bike novices, the legend of the Fireblade. Even I know where this bike sits and how important this bike is in the biking world. Tidy, iconic, desirable twin headlight model, this one as well. It starts and rides as it should. No advisories on the last MOT. We're getting a lot of really nicely maintained,
looks
great condition bikes in, aren't we?
Completely standard.
How is that 31 years old? Where has that 31 years gone? And how does it still look that good? And also, this is the colour scheme you want, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. So what year blade? Which year blade is this?
93.
Is this... Wow.
Can you believe that? It still looks so fresh, doesn't it?
This design here with the holes drilled there in the fairing and the twin headlights.
So 37,000 miles. So we're talking super affordable, super usable bike.
Yep.
And what are these like to live with, Steve? So you're going to buy this for under £4,000. You're going to buy this for?
Wow.
I think on the day.
You're buying an Ikon. If you buy this, you're buying an Ikon for less than £4,000. And I just continue to use it as it is.
That is the most enormous tank ever, isn't it? It's huge.
Yeah, but it was a genius idea. Put the performance of an 1100 in a motorcycle the size and weight of a 750, and you're in business.
Yeah.
And Honda just changed the game with this bike.
And that's the most 90s looking thing I think I've ever seen.
It is. It's the most 90s.
Was it big in the 90s, Steve?
It was massive in the 90s.
Was it? That sounds like a great idea for a YouTube channel. Someone should do that.
Again, I know a bloke who bought one of these and he used it for riding around London, and then his family lived up in Newcastle, and he used to ride up and down, and in the end he had to get rid of it because
Was he getting tickets?
He was getting tickets like that. Because he said it was, when he was riding it around London, he said it was like having a tiger on a chain, like riding it around London. So as soon as he got past York, going north,
It was gone.
The throttle was open and he was just getting tickets.
So what sort of performance is this? Then?
Oh.
This is a 31-year-old bike. How many powers is this?
How many powers? 93 blade. It's probably about 135.
That's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Even today. That's a lot of power.
135. So here's one that's slightly younger.
96, very good, sir. Very impressive knowledge there. So this is also incredibly nice.
Fox Eye Fireblade, slight redesign here, still got
So I think I prefer the twin lights myself. Yeah. What's the more desirable in the market? Or is it just down to personal preference?
The earlier the better. Well, it's like anything, isn't it? The first stop.
Yeah.
When a car or a bike becomes collectible, becomes iconic, people look for the earliest examples that they can find and ones that haven't been messed with. This one has been modified a bit. I can see it's got the Yoshimura exhaust, it's got the grab rail for somebody who might be... Can you imagine actually being invited to get on the back of this bike? I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the relationship between the seat. You'd have to be not only pretty flexible, but pretty tiny.
You would, you really would. Whose signature is this on the tank here?
Oh, that's a good question to ask me. John...
Is it yours?
No, it's not me.
John McGuinness, is it? It looks like?
Might be John McGuinness. And of
Could
course,
be.
John McGuinness, a Honda man.
What we want to know is if we turn out that Ducati back there is yours, will you replicate this? That's what we want to know. I think it would add similar value.
I have actually done this. I think this looks better than the earlier blade, to be honest with you.
Ooh, fighting talk. I think the headlight of this is a fabulous looking bike. And again, do take time to look on the website, look at the pictures of this, particularly the profile shot. A handsome machine, and one that you could take home for somewhere between $4,500 and $5,000. These bikes. This is why I'm not allowed a motorbike. My wife says no motorbike for you because she knows that every sale, because they're such great value for money, I would be coming back with 2-3 bikes every sale.
I think I've worked out that this, because people will be putting in the comments, that's not a grab rail for the pillion berry, that's for a rack. I think that might be for luggage.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the last thing that you actually want to do, when you put a rucksack on before you set off for a long journey on the motorcycle, you think, I'll be all right with this rucksack on. It doesn't feel heavy. But 4 hours later, you want to set it on fire. And so people end up putting this
so if you're riding
rack.
this and people shout nice rack at you, that's actually
nice rack.
Nice compliment. It's a nice compliment. It's not pejorative.
The condition of this one is phenomenal.
It is. You should buy it.
Stop trying to get me in trouble.
Right, moving on to this. This is fabulous. The colour, the spec, the fairing design of this. 2000 Kawasaki Ninja with just 9,000 miles on it.
You could buy it, and then you could say to whoever else might be involved in purchasing decision, I've decided it was time for us to go green.
This is green motorcycling in its truest form, isn't it?
Yeah, I bought a green means of transport. Oh, have you got a Tesla? Or, no, I bought what was, when it was new, the world's fastest and most powerful
and
motorcycle.
greenest motorcycle.
And it's massive, isn't it?
It's like the Vinpon ashtray. How are you supposed to keep the fag ash in there? That's what I want to know. It's a terrible design. But here's the thing, we're talking about motorcycling and actually being environmentally credentialed. You think about it, so there's people like Corriton now do sustainable fuel, which all bikes can run on.
Yes.
You think of the average mileage of a fun biker, a hobby biker, probably a couple of thousand miles a year maybe, just enjoying themselves. You could use synthetic fuel for that, or sustainable fuel for that, and then your carbon footprint of running your classic motorcycle is less than any electric vehicle, and you can do it completely guilt-free.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. So buy yourself a motorcycle, use sustainable or synthetic fuel, which is a little bit more than fuel you get from a pump, but then you can say to anybody, I am doing my bit for the environment, and you can have a lot of fun in the meantime. I
think that's the biggest can I've ever seen.
That is enormous.
On a motorcycle.
That's off a Peterbilt truck, isn't it? That shouldn't be on a motorbike.
It's just a big, impressive hunk of motorbike, isn't it?
It's stunning.
Not really the sort of thing you'd buy as a collector bike to look at. I think what you'd do is you bypass the expense of buying this when it was new.
Yeah.
Use it for what it's for, which is for blasting across continents. I mean, this is a sort of bike, Paul. You'd have your breakfast in Bolton, lunch at the Channel Tunnel, and then, a spot of early evening dinner in Gay Paris.
I love it.
No problem on a machine like this.
This
no
will do
problem.
it. Now, this has been long-term dry stored, which is why it's so nice. It's got some history with it, but not full. It's from an avid collector. Runs and drives superbly, this one as well. Motors are ever so quiet. But despite all of that, 3750 to 4250. Can you believe it? Why are these bikes such cracking value?
Yeah. Get over to Germany, get on the Autobahn.
And give it some.
Give it some.
Yeah, and usually. But what actually goes there?
I would imagine that is for...
It's almost like they knew the iPhone was coming.
It's for your lunchbox. Your lunchbox goes on there.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And then if you're feeling peckish and you fancy like a Tunnux or...
your Mars bar holder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
You could actually, or a folded wagon wheel.
That's what those flip-up helmets, I swore I'd never get one of those because the coppers all had them first, and every time you got pulled over, the copper was wearing a flip-up helmet, so I had an aversion to them. But then I realised that you could eat. Or you
have a sarnie and leave your helmet on. Or go into the petrol station, you have to take it off.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Now I wouldn't be without one.
Right, KTM, this is cool.
Right, do you know what this is?
It's a 690 SM Supermoto.
Hooligan tackle. Of all the motorcycles that we've got here today, although there is one in a minute that's hooligan tackle as well, this is pulling wheelies.
Yeah, skids.
Annoying the neighbours.
Getting your knee down. And I like watching Supermoto racing actually because it's Larry, isn't it?
Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the real deal, 690. Wow.
Is this torquey as this? Really torquey, punchy bike?
I had a Husqvarna that was similar to this, and it was, from the lights, it would have anything. It was so torquey. Unlike this with these flat bars, the temptation to take every corner like you were, like you were in the Supermoto Championship. Yeah.
Get your big boots on.
Hooligan motorbike. Classic KTM black and orange paint job.
And Acras.
The old Acra Pulver.
That's not a cheap mod, is it?
No.
They don't make anything cheap, do they?
They look great as well, don't they? What a great looking
So on the
bike.
car system, all of their pipework is normally titanium. Is it titanium on the bike system?
Yep. Yeah.
Completely different sound, don't you?
Is there any truth in that story that they got started from sort of sort of Cold War era fighter jets.
I had heard that on the car side.
Because they're not cheap, but when Akrapovic came out and started taking over the exhaust business, they were so much cheaper than everybody else. And they said, oh yeah, it's one of those stories people tell.
They're not cheap now, though, are they?
Oh yeah, they're all MiG-21s these days.
It might be recycled. So that's a lovely bike. Now the nice thing about that, 3 to 3.5 grand, not yet registered in the UK, so you will be the first UK registered keeper of that bike.
Right.
So that's imported. That's very lovely. And moving on, we're going to classic territory now. So 1963 Triumph 3TA 21, really lovely example. So talk to me about this beautiful example here. What a great colour as well, really suits it.
It is, isn't it? Look at all this bodywork. It's sort of. Do you know what this is?
Go on.
It's an attempt to dress up a relatively modest motorcycle as something a bit fancier than what it really was. You know, like they did with sort of like a Riley Elf or something like that.
Yeah. Is that what this sort of dressed fairing is here, just to give it a little bit, and this sort of flared mudguard?
Yeah, it's very much of its time. And again, it's a do-everything motorcycle. The sort of chap that would have had one of these, he would have used it to get to work and back, and then it would have been maybe a little bit of gentle motorcycle sport, a gymkhana or a road rally or something like that. But also, with this rack here, you could get a bit of a... Nice rack.
Yeah.
Get a packed lunch on there, get round to Gertie's house and get her on the back, and off for a trundle around the... I thought the Yorkshire Dales would go this time, Paul. What do you reckon?
Well, she's been to the Trossachs, hasn't she? So this is nice. That fuel tank's just been recently restored, which is why it's so nice as well.
That's the best badge in motorcycling.
Yeah, it is.
That Triumph badge. Do you remember when George Michael had that?
I do. I was going to mention that.
That's the
makes
best
a fantastic
badge in
belt buckle.
motorcycling, and it's real. It's not a repro one.
So that tank's had a lot of time and money spent. You could buy this beautiful motorcycle for £3,000 to £3,500 on Saturday if you'd like to, and she's ready to go.
It's a lovely thing. If you were just thinking, oh, I'll go along to the old historic transport festival with the steam engines and the traction engines and
with your goggles,
and I'll sit there and I'll eat an ice cream and I'll watch people stop and stare at an motorbike. Then this is the thing for you, isn't it? Look at that, it's so elegant.
And do you want to, if you have a bike like this, do you want to get the bell staff, get the open face helmet, get the
absolutely.
Goggles? It's got a look period correct.
Yeah, corker helmet and goggles and all that, and a nasty wax cotton. They give me a rash, them wax cotton jackets, Paul.
Do they?
I can't wear them. I'm very sensitive.
I've heard that. So moving on to this is beautiful. 1960 Triton.
Wow.
This is bloody fabulous, this, isn't it? This just looks like proper race refugee, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the real thing. It really is, because if you were building a Triton, I built a copy of this of this sort of bike, and the last thing I would have used is alloy wheels, because I would have thought, well, that doesn't look right. But the thing about a Triton, which of course, as I'm sure you know, is a combination of a Norton frame and a Triumph engine.
That I did know. Even with my scan bike knowledge, that I did know. Yeah.
Because the Triumph engine was better than the Norton engine, but the Norton frame was legendarily offered very predictable neutral handling, which made you better able to exploit the performance that was available from the Triumph engine. So the lads back in the day, you know, like an LS swap in a car today.
This is the bike equivalent.
1950s, 1960s. This tank is beautiful. I would buy it just to get this tank.
Well, here's a question for you. Have you, in your many years of motorcycling, ever drunk or had a bacon sandwich at the Fitzpatrick Bikers Cafe?
I can't think that I have. Where's that? I've been to
I don't know. But if anyone has, this was in their window for 20 years, this bike.
Wow.
So it's been a cafe, literally a cafe racer.
Yeah. So it's a pre-unit gearbox. Much of what's going on here was made specifically, handmade for this motorcycle.
Isn't it great?
And even like the yokes here on the forks to accept what I would imagine.
Because that's all machined from solid billet, isn't it?
Yeah,
that looks all scratch built, doesn't it?
Because somebody's put later Japanese forks and what's this off? I'm trying to work out what these. Oh, the Brembos. Wow. Right. Okay. So they'd be off a Motor Guzzi or something like that.
Oh, it's in Bangor. There you go. Fitzpatrick's Cafe is in Bangor in Wales. So if anyone's ever had a brew and a bacon butty there, you may have seen this in the window.
Isn't it great that this bike that was in the window like Bagpuss for all those years is potentially going to hit the road again?
Wouldn't it be great?
A roar again after
or
decades.
if you've got a cafe, put it in your cafe window.
I'd rather somebody went out and rode it. Because I think whoever built this, look at this bracketry here to hold the,
look at this Fraser.
the rev counter and the speedo. Beautiful old Smith's
That's
clocks.
all from a billet, look, and then that's all been done from sheet. And then
whoever built this knew what they were doing. Some people will look at it, they'll see those twin discs on the front and the Japanese wheels and a disc on the back as well. Wow. So this thing was made to go. The person that built this made it not just to look good, but to go as fast as it possibly could. And he did a bloody good job, and I'd love to see this bike back on the road. Most Tritons just have a drum on the front, and they can't utilise the performance of the engine. This bike's set up to utilise every ounce of performance that comes out of that motor.
So there you go, make Steve happy.
Make me happy, buy it and ride it.
6.5 to 7 grand, ride it, put it back on the road. So not 20 years in the window, 20 years on the road. That's what we'd like to see, very much.
Look at this.
Now here you go. So if you don't like to get wet or windy,
get a car.
Exactly. 1958 Royal Enfield Clipper Airflow, beautifully fully fared baby bullet. This isn't. This is
wow.
Great.
Look at this.
So talk to me about this period of bike design first of all, because this is obviously for the lady or gentleman that wants to keep their clothes dry whilst riding in the rain.
Yeah. This is from the time when, Paul, most people didn't have a car. When I went to the old TG, first mention of Top Gear.
Get that on your bingo card.
First mention of Top Gear.
It's been a long time since you've mentioned it.
One of the other presenters said to me, so what car did you have when you were little, Steve? And I said, we didn't have a car. My dad had a Honda 90 or an old British bike. And then at one point he had a sidecar. I was 10 when we got our first car.
What was it like during the air rage though, Steve? What was that like?
It was frightening, Paul. We all had to get out to the bottom of the garden and get in the Anderson shelter.
What about rationing? How was that?
That wasn't too bad. That's why I've retained my slim figure, because of course we didn't have sugar or sweets or anything
bananas,
like that.
No, nothing like that.
Oh, I love a banana, mate.
It's because you were deprived when you were small.
People had to use motorcycles to get where they were going. They didn't have the alternative. Motorcycles weren't toys. They were a utilitarian tool for people to get from one place to another.
So I bet this is quite a pleasant thing to ride, isn't it? Because you're not going to get any wind buffeting, you can get very little spray. I'd imagine this is actually quite a relaxing machine to ride, isn't it?
I like it.
Yeah, I do.
It's got a strange sort of, it's a bit, if I say this again, it'll date me. Dan Dare, the pilot of the future. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
It's got that sort of retro-futuristic. Retro-futurism.
So there you go, that is 1958 at its finest there, full airflow design.
I'm
amazed.
amazed.
Because they're doing similar things with car design at the time. Is that fiberglass?
I'll tell you what, that fiberglass, no wonder it's lasted so well. It's year thick.
I know. But 50s fiberglass though, 50s and 60s fiberglass, it was made to such a beautiful quality, probably even better than some of the stuff that came later. So 2 to 2.5 grand, you could own that, and you'd never be wet at work again. That's good to have. 2023, now this is a confusing machine, because it's brand new, but it looks dead old.
Yeah.
The 2023 Gold Star Legacy Edition.
It's a BSA.
I know. So this, I guess, so talk to me about this. So these are effectively sort of recreation reissues, but with a little bit of modern tech.
Yeah, so they're all at it now, Paul.
Yeah.
Triumph, Norton, Royal Enfield, we've just seen the Royal Enfield, and now BSA are back with a modern interpretation of the old. Do you know at one point, BSA sold 1 in 4 of all the motorcycles in the world?
No way.
I used to see the poster in an old motorbike shop in Hale, Cheshire, near where I worked, and it said 1 in 4 is a BSA on this poster.
That's crazy stuff, isn't it?
With a proud thing. And I said to the bloke in the shop, I said, wow, just to think 1 in 4 of the bikes sold in Britain. And he went, took it on his roll up, he went, 1 in 4 bikes in the world, son. 1 in 4 bike was a BSA.
That's crazy.
Birmingham Small Arms. Yeah, we dominated the world motorcycle industry. And the thing is, there's a lot of people around the world who remember that. And a lot of those people are in America, and a lot of those people are also in India.
Oh, yeah.
Which is where the money's come from to resuscitate BSA. But what a good job they've done.
Oh, isn't it great?
It looks fantastic.
It really does.
This is very much an alternative to the Triumph Bonneville, which has been fantastically successful. But it's just a bit different, a bit more unusual. Obviously, you've got spoked, chrome spoked, the black forks, but you've got a disc brake, Brembo disc brake. And then just look at the design of that. And it's here to mimic like it's got an air cleaner and a carburetor. It's obviously not.
Do you want to know why this looks so good as well, apart from being quite recent?
Because it's absolutely brand fire new.
Yeah. Still got the warranty on it. So you can buy this from us, still under manufacturer warranty. It's got delivery miles. So you're buying a brand new bike, basically. Absolutely brand new. 5.5 to 6.5 grand for a brand new Beater.
What?
True story. True story. So there you go. If you want the bargain of the sale, brand new bike under manufacturer warranty with delivery miles on, never been ridden, never been enjoyed, you will become the first person to actually take it out and thrape it.
It's a really lovely, friendly, easy bike to ride, this BSA. I've only ridden one once briefly, but I just thought I can see people who are coming back to motorcycling and faced by the prospect of something like that Triton, which would be a proper handful to ride, let me tell you. They might think, yeah, back in the day, that was my bag, but now I just want to have fun. I just want to relax, have fun, take my time. There's no better way to do it than on this. For what did you say? 5.5, 6 grand?
Yeah, for a brand new bike. I guess this is like buying a brand new Morgan, isn't it? You get all the lovely old style, all the modern running gear.
That's a very good point you make there.
So if you want to have that kind of old style look, but you want it just to start on the button and it rides and doesn't break down.
Yeah. Put a black and silver plate on. You can,
which is illegal.
No, I don't think it is.
It is. It's got to be pre-80. So put a black and silver plate on, but just be prepared for the ticket. I agree with you. Aesthetically, it would look good.
Yeah.
Just pay the 60 quid or whatever.
I was going to say, and then when people say, my dad had one of those during the war, just nod.
Yeah.
Don't
listen to Steve Berry for construction and use advice for your motorcycle.
Speaking of construction and use, look at this bad boy.
2005, again, something else that looks a lot earlier and crazier than it is. So 2005 Royal Enfield Thunderbird, a classic British take on a cruiser. So this has done a little bit more miles. This has done 16,000. This one has been used and enjoyed.
Wow.
So original bike, lots of previous MOT, 9 former keepers. You can tell this has been a lot of people's toy, can't you?
Yeah.
2 keys. I bet this is the kind of thing people might go, that's crazy, I'm buying that.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and then ride it a couple of times and then go, okay, I'll buy something else now. It is crazy. It's Cadbury's Dairy Milk Purple.
Right, how did Royal Enfield... No, hold on. Right, so... Yeah, it's Cadbury's Boost, isn't it?
It is.
Cadbury's Boost.
So I would suggest, I'm no bike paint expert, I would say this has had some paint.
Yes.
At some point.
I'm just wondering how Royal Enfield got the rights to use the word Thunderbird, which is very much a term which in cars, of course, is Ford, but in motorcycles was always associated with Triumph.
It was.
And what I think this is a home-brewed special.
It's rather good, I have to say. I like it. It's got that custom look. You could buy this for a very sensible amount of money, 2 to 2.5 grand. And I say only done 16,000 miles. It's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now for something completely different. So
baby.
This is full custom. And as you were just saying off camera, a lot of work and a huge amount of money has gone into this.
A huge amount of money.
It is under all that a 2001 Harley, but there's not a lot of 2001 Harley left.
No, the motor, which is the baby of the bunch, it's the 883 Sportster motor. So not the most powerful of motorcycles, but a lot of character. And let me tell you something, Paul. I think what's going to happen is in a few minutes, you're going to tell me what the estimate is on this, and it's going to be a fraction of what it costs to create this hand-built motorcycle. One-off frame, that looks like the original Sportster tank, they've used that. Custom-made seat, bars. Look at these Springer forks on the front. They're not something... Now, they could be aftermarket or they could be original Harley. It's got a 21-inch front wheel, a 16-inch rear wheel. I think this style, it's what I think they call a digger. I think that's the custom style. But there's very little on this bike that isn't either custom, one-off, or bespoke built for this motorcycle. And having made 3 television series about custom motorcycles, I would estimate the build cost on this to be the thick end of, I'd be surprised if you were paying anything less than 45, 50 grand for something like this finished out the door.
But you know what, mate? I think you were right, but this is the good news for anyone looking at this thinking that is a bit of me. 7 to 8 grand is the estimate on this.
Wow.
That's the good news. Even better news, so this is all built by the Bobber brothers.
The Bobber brothers.
And it's got...
Yeah.
And this is brand new. So basically this bike was built at huge expense, as you say.
Brand new, it's never been used?
Never been used, never been ridden. It was basically built to this impeccable standard, put in a man cave by the vendor's admission. But there's just been an artifact all that time. So this bike has been built to a standard that will ride beautifully, but you will need to recommission this if you put it back on the road. So it's got Bobber fuel tank, custom paintwork, cherry red frame, as you can see, Cobra white wall tyres, cross-drilled front brakes, all braided brake lines, clutch lines, all of that. It's just stunning, isn't it? Like I said, it would cost you a fortune to build. You can stick it in your man cave or she shed if you fancy it. Or I would say get it recommissioned, get it on the road, start using it. That's got to be one of the coolest things you could ride around.
Do you know what? Bikes like this aren't exactly the height of fashion right now. They were sort of 10, 15 years ago. But one of the reasons that many of them languish in collections and never get ridden is because the riding setup is so difficult to get along with.
Because it's hardtail, isn't it?
Yeah, look at this. It's pretty normal, the riding position. You know, it's not, yes, it's got forwards, but they're not like right over here. The bars aren't right up here. Single seat, low seat height, not crazy amounts of power from this motor, but you don't, on a motorcycle, look, it's got Springer forks for goodness sake. You don't need crazy amounts of power.
Hey, would you say that though, but fully rebored engine, valve heads, all engine casings be reworked.
Right.
It's had a little bit of a tickle, so it might be a bit quacker than a standard one.
Be at least 50 horsepower.
Oh yeah.
You don't need an enormous amount.
Not when you look that good. It's more about posing, isn't it?
It's all about the look. It's all about the pose. And for the estimate, I think it'll go for more. Again, they're kind of out of style, but I like it.
It's beautifully done. If you want one, that's a great bargain.
It's a lot of bike, and like you say, it's brand new.
Yeah,
you never rode it.
Never been.
You had it built, and you never rode it.
Come here, Fraser. Look, it's even got tyre bubbles on still. Look. It's got tyre
you like that, don't you?
I love tyre bubbles. That's how new it is. Still got tyre bubbles on.
21-inch front wheel, 16-inch rear wheel.
Now here's something I do like. Anything with an HRC tank, immediately drawn to. I just think it's one of the coolest, most iconic paint ways you can do. So 77 CB750F Super Sport, the original 70s.
The original superbike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice, isn't it? Because it's not perfect.
Nope.
It's presentable, it's tidy. It's had a refurbished fuel tank, which looks super. This one's done 37,000 miles, but had a full top-end rebuild at 33 and a bit. So it's pretty much a fresh engine. Great tyres. The lads have said it could use a restoration, but that's if you want it to be a show queen.
I don't know.
Why would you? It
don't
looks
know.
great. I would just ride it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Do you want to know the best bit?
It's got a Kickstarter.
It has got a kick. That is good. 1,500 to 1,750 to ride around looking that good.
Wow. And look at those green face clocks.
Doesn't it look good? Doesn't it look good?
You know, like when we thought that computer screens should be green, we thought that it was easier to read.
It just looks right, doesn't it?
It looks great.
A lot of very expensive watches have gone green this year as well.
Very evocative.
Now, also, the vendor has got, by separate negotiation, if you buy the bike, he's also got a few spares. If you want to have a little deal on the spares, there's a conversation to be had as well. That's all really good. So it's stood up since 2017, then it's had a load of work done to it. So there's some great history with this, and the vendor is very much willing to talk to you about what's been done. And like I say, if you need some extra bits, we've got those two for separate sale. Right, moving on to this. Another beautiful metal flake bike. All 70s bikes should be metal flake, I think. It just looks good, doesn't it? It looks right.
It does. Oh, another 754.
Yeah. 1974, this one. Smashing bike, 43,000 miles. So you've got front disc, you've got rear drums on this, electric start. Would that have been standard in 74, Steve, electric start?
Yep.
Was it really?
Well, that's when it came out in 68 in an electric start.
Wow.
And that was a big deal because very few motorcycles had it. US import, obviously, the clues are there, side reflectors are standard there, and these handlebars. These handlebars are very much a US thing.
Because that to me looks like you could ride that all day and not be tired.
Yeah, well, they ride further and farther.
Yeah.
Also, I think you look cooler.
I do. Bit of a Peter Fonda vibe going on there.
I was going to say the Fonz.
It's because you're wearing a black t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's why. So that's a complete bike, just needs a recommission. So it's not going to be a huge amount of money. 2.5 to 3.5 would let you have that in your collection. And what a nice looking thing. A few little imperfections on the tank paint. But again, all these bikes, just tidy them up, recommission them, insure them, enjoy them.
I was going to get all Swiss Tony on your ass then and say, like a beautiful woman, it wears its mark of age with style.
It does. It really does. And that just looks like a bit of sun patination. You might actually find that might polish some of that, mightn't it? 'Cause that looks like lacquer, doesn't it? It looks like the lacquer's gone over a bit.
Yeah.
So
I like it. It's
I
great.
do. I'd leave it like it is.
Oh,
For the money it is, it's not a huge amount of money, but it is a huge amount of fun. 82 Honda FT500.
God, it's a while since I've seen one of these.
Well, you could buy this because this is going to be inexpensive and it's a light resto. So it requires a starter motor repair, Steve. So you can run with a bump start. So if you're really lazy or you don't want to spend any more money, just bump start it every time you ride it. Or fix the starter motor if you want to. Imported into the UK in 1998, and just a lovely little lightweight bike.
And a single. Even it's a twin port single. I just had to check that then because I thought, I'm sure these were a single. And I looked down there and I saw 2 exhaust pipes, which mainly some people think it's a twin.
It's a 4-stroke single.
It's a 4-stroke single.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flat tracker. This became... They're rare. They're rare. We didn't buy bikes like this in the UK when it was new. The Americans, it was very much made for the American market.
And I would say, again, another American import by looks of it.
But just the thing for around town. You know, if you're commuting, you haven't got a long journey, you just want to get around. Just the thing. And
also quite a tall bike as well, that, isn't it? That would suit a big lad, that one.
Look at that.
That's a big bike. That would fit me, that one.
Yeah, I can see you on that, mate.
Yeah, I like that.
Open face helmet.
Yeah.
Motocross boots.
It's not going to cost you a lot of money. So obviously, budget yourself something for that starter motor repair, unless you want to bump start it every time. It's not the end of the world, is it? Especially if you live on a hill. £1,300 to £1,800.
Wow.
Cheap, lovely looking bike, that.
You won't see another.
There you go, Steve Berry has spoken. 87 Honda XBR500 G. That's cool. Now, is that just paint and fade? Because the way that's faded actually looks really good.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? No, I think that's deliberate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's deliberate.
Someone's got like a tequila sunrise paint finish with a little bit.
XBR500.
Now we are getting into the true bargain basement of fabulous bikes here. So this is 499 4-stroke single again, both electric and kickstart on this one. It's got the original Comstar wheels, a Micron exhaust. It's been off the road for a few years. If you are going to ride this, you're going to need to do a little bit of recommissioning, a couple of weekends in the workshop, Steve, then away you go.
Wow, very much of its time, wasn't it?
I really like it. I love those wheels.
Yeah, Comstars.
I'd buy it for the wheels.
Do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely adore them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, and a Micron exhaust again. Wow. Yeah, time capsule.
But these kind of bikes, though, Steve, 800 to 1,500 quid.
Come on, why
not?
not?
You think of what you waste your money on. Crikey.
Just a bit of fun, isn't it?
It is. I was down at Goodwood Festival of Speed and I was chatting to the guys. So the week before we worked in an event at the Goodwood Hotel where it was a very sensible amount of money to stay. £1,200 a night to stay there for. So either £1,200 a night for one night in a hotel at Goodwood, or you could buy that.
Wow.
And sleep in your tent. I'd buy that.
Here we go.
1991 Honda CD250U K. So this is obviously a 4-stroke twin, 5-speed manual. It's only done 14,000 miles since 1991. So this has had a very, very easy life and done very low mileage, this one. It's got a Predator aftermarket exhaust system.
Predator?
Lots of very cool aftermarket exhaust today.
You wouldn't think a cute little bike like this would have a Predator exhaust on it, would you?
So where does this bike sit there? See, this looks like a lot of fun and quite easy to ride.
Yeah, just a bit of fun, mate. It's like, again, if we were talking about a car, you're looking like something like, I don't know, like a Fiesta, but not the XR. Like something sporty, but not the really
not like flat out
one.
super quick.
Yeah, something that's, I mean, really it's a commuter bike. That's what it was, but it's just a bit better than that because it's a Honda. Great engine, classic looks with a pinstripe in there on the tank. 2 people could go along on this. You're not going to win any prizes with this, mate. You're not going to win any trophies at the car and bike show.
But you'll have a lot of fun, won't you? And you'll have change from £2,000 probably as well.
I was going to say, for very little money.
Yeah.
For very little money, you're going to have a lot of fun.
This is what really is coming across to me with the bikes that we've got in, particularly sort of as we come into this section here of the more affordable stuff. If you haven't got huge budgets, there's massive amounts of fun. All this stuff you can work on at home. You don't need loads of space, do you? If you don't have a huge workshop, or even if you do have a car in the garage, you could probably squeeze a bike in as well. Absolutely.
Do you know what's coming over to me and confirming what I truly believe?
Go on.
That Honda's the greatest engineering you'll ever come across in any kind of automotive sector.
Hard to argue with that.
Honda engineering. Honda. These Hondas have survived. A lot of them won't have had the easiest life, but it's because they were better made than anything else in motorcycling. And in truth, I think better made than anything in motoring, better than any car. Honda engineering is just so great. And this is the proof of it, that these bikes have survived. This is not a collector bike. This is just a bit of fun for somebody to buy. And I genuinely think if somebody buys it and they just want to ride it, you know, once a month during the summer, just for a bit of fun.
Just for jollies.
Something
Jollies
like
and lollies,
is great. And do you know what? When you go back to it, I remember I had a load of interesting bikes, and then at the back of the garage, I had an old Honda that I'd bought, or a Part X or something like that. And I thought, I better get that thing out because it's been sat there for a couple of years. It just fired up and rode down the road, absolutely no
Japanese
problem.
cars are the same, though, aren't they? Japanese cars, you can leave them for 2-3 years, fresh battery, bit of fuel, they go.
Yeah.
Love Japanese engineering.
However, if we do want to talk about a collector bike, let's have a look at this one.
So the 76 Suzuki GT250, mechanically sound, it's done 29,000 miles this. It's a smashing looking thing, liquid cooled, just had a recent service and a current V5. MOT exempt of course as well. So this is nearly 50-year-old.
Was it last on the road in 2001 or do you think somebody's just left that?
I don't know, I love that though. Full sun faded tax disc.
These were a right little flying machine in the day. The GT250 Suzuki really was something.
And would you like to know what's been done to this motorcycle, Stephen, as well? So it's a good all-round working machine, but it's just had a service with front master cylinder, new brake hoses, new caliper seals, new wheel bearings, power filters, a new rear tyre, some bulbs, rear brake switch, filters, plug caps, oil change. So it's just gone through all of that, mate. 750 quid had just been spent on this bike, and you could buy it for somewhere between 2 and 2.5 grand with all that work done. So she's ready to go.
Yeah.
She needs
nearly 30,000 miles, but as you say, it's nearly 50 years old.
No.
Compared to cars, some of the mileages on these bikes are minuscule, aren't they?
And again, I love the condition of this, and by no means perfect, very presentable, very usable, particularly with all that money that's been spent.
Yeah.
And you could choose to either ride it like it is, which I think is stone cold cool, or just update and perfect as you go. I would leave it.
Great.
Half the stuff I would leave. Just to enjoy these bikes. Don't do what I do with so many cars, which is to go into an extensive restoration and then you never finish it.
Once you start, you never stop.
You don't. So just tidy and continue to enjoy. 98 Honda NSR250. Lovely little two-stroker this. This looks fast.
Great import job.
Yeah. Great looking bike.
Yeah, these are the bikes that the Japanese thought they'd keep for themselves. They're incredibly sophisticated, technologically advanced pieces of kit, which are kind of in that Japanese bonsai tradition, are miniaturized version of the big super bikes that they sent to us in the Americans.
Hey, look, you can tell there's been some action here. Look, GoPro mount
it's got
on
the
the
old
back.
GoPro mount on the back there.
Someone's been enjoying this one. So new plugs fitted. It's got the original fairings as well. Start, runs and rides great. It's got a Tiger exhaust on it, which sounds really good. It's got smashing tyres on it as well. So you can have a lot of fun with this. You can put your GoPro on and capture all your hero moments, and it's not going to be a huge amount of money. That's going to be somewhere between 5.5 and 6 grand to buy that for a smashing looking thing.
Yeah.
Does look good, that, doesn't it? I bet
Don't
that sounds immense.
ever ask anybody to sit there.
Is it pointless?
Well,
it doesn't even have any pegs, is it?
Well, I think it would have originally, to be honest, I think it would have had pegs that came off the exhaust hangers. So the only sort of person that could get comfortable on there would be if you had a prairie dog as a companion, or perhaps a marmot.
Or someone that could wrap their legs around you.
I think prairie dogs and marmots might be the same thing, but I was trying to think of something that had very short legs and could like cling onto. A wombat. If you have a wombat that likes to travel, then maybe they could sit on the back there. No, it's funny because they didn't really send, I think this one had a cassette gearbox as well. It was I mean, look at the exhaust. It's got a handmade exhaust on it, mate. Look at the quality of the workmanship down here.
It's unbelievable.
But they didn't send them to us. They thought, no, the Europeans and the Americans, they'll only buy big bikes. They won't buy these. And some friends of mine made a lot of money buying these. Because you know what the Japanese are like? They go mad for something, and then it's worthless. Then they just want to get rid of it.
They just ship them all over here.
They go mad for it, so they shipped them over here. And aren't we in a going back situation? Haven't we had stuff now that we sent to Japan, and now they're sending?
It's like minis. So we bought all the
Elises and minis.
Minis are all going back to Japan now. Very much so. Even though the tax situation is very expensive to do, but they still want them. This is stunning. So talking about
stunning.
So this is presentable, very nice. Got some lovely bits. Now we're getting into sort of show quality bikes. If you're looking for something that just like this, mount it on a podium, look at it longingly all day. This is beautifully restored.
The kettle.
It is, GT750 K, fully restored, imported in 2020, only 3 miles since its restoration.
3 miles?
3 whole miles. So there you go, you are again looking at pretty much a new bike. So let me tell you some of the things. It's been done by JMC Restorations and overhauled by Powerhouse Automotive. So all the chrome's been done. In fact, the chrome on this bike, Steve, just the chrome.
Just the chrome, go on.
Bills for 2.5 grand. Just the chrome. So there you go. Somebody, I love it when people just blow their brains out doing a bike properly. because then you don't have to. You just get the benefit of somebody's obsession and quest for perfection, but you don't have to pay for it. And I love that when that happens. So
Look at the back plate on this, on the rear disc. It's painted, it's polished rather. It's like they never did that for the factory.
It wouldn't have been anything like this.
It's
when
like
it was
a
made.
jewel,
It is,
isn't it? I love it. That blue, it's so vivid. What a great bike as well. The old GT750, as I said, the kettle, 4-cylinder, 2-stroke, water-cooled, electric start or kickstart. You have the choice. Twin discs up front to stop what is, at the end of the day, a big bus. But like it says GT, a grand touring machine.
A wafter.
The sort of thing you could get two up and go. You could go places on this motorcycle, Paul.
And would you choose to kick or electric start?
You got to kick it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, it's cool. You go to your bike, you flick the kicker out.
He just looks
Have you
better.
not seen the bike riders? Because in many ways, when you watch it and you see Austin Butler and Tom Hardy, you'll think of me and you, I think. You'll think,
we should recreate it.
Look at those attractive and yet masculine, but also sensitive men.
That's
and
us.
you'll think of me and you.
With skincare
With an
regimes.
appreciation for a quality bit of machinery.
Well, I need to get my bike license. Leave in the comments if you think I should get my bike license, and I'll show the comments to my wife.
Here we are. Which
she might
one's-
acquiesce.
which
So moving
one-
on.
which
So just
one's
so you know,
this?
so that one's 11 to 13. If you want to.
£11,100.
Anyone that's £2.5 worth of chrome plating alone.
Just the
before you
chrome.
talk about work, paint work, anything else, mechanical overhauling, that has been done to a standard rather than to a price. And
To a
I love
very
it when
high
people
standard.
restore. So moving on to this, 1989 Yamaha TZR250. Lovely original bike that's done 20,000 kilometres. So again, import bike, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So imported into the UK this year. So it is a very, very fresh import, which would suggest to me it's had a very easy life somewhere else. So 20K, what's that, about 12, 13,000 miles, isn't it?
Yeah. That's nothing.
Isn't it though? So there you go. Loosely based on the TZ250 racing bike.
Yes. And look at it, right? So I'm 5'10", 13 and a half stone, and you think, oh, it's one of those import jobs, so it'll be
5'10".
5'10". I'm 5'10". Just because you're pointlessly tall, right? So
Seven,
look,
5'7".
I'm 5'10", both feet flat on the floor, comfortable reach to the handlebars without crouching down.
I'm just going
too
on your
much.
Tinder profile.
And
Yeah,
it's-
you have put
it's not
5'10" on Tinder. That's trade descriptions, you know. We're an auction house. We have to be honest and transparent with everything we describe.
Well, if you look on Grindr, right? No, right. So what is it? 10,000 RPM redline on this bike, as it says there. A race replica in every respect of the 250 race bike, and yet, you know, the truth about race bikes is they're pretty horrible to ride because the point is to win races. It's not for you. You're not supposed to enjoy it. You're getting paid basically to win.
Yeah.
Right. But this, it feels absolutely bob on. You get on a race bike and the bars are down here, the pegs are up here, your arse is in the air. You think, oh my God, I don't want to pub like this. But on this, it just feels great. You're going to disappoint me now by telling me it's ridiculous money.
No, £4,000 to £5,000. You can have that for. I think you're secretly quite tempted. I
And
really like the way
now-
they've fared this in at the back as well. I think that looks absolutely fabulous.
You
all this
like
bit.
that, don't you?
I do. I do like
It's
fared.
that, as you said, it's that folded paper.
Oh yeah, origami
Type,
styling.
Origami styling.
So that's very pleasant. 1989. Treat yourself to that. Love the colour. Grey's become very fashionable now. I can't imagine in the late 80s that was a very common thing to have a grey bike. It's kind of ahead of its time. Oops.
I just thought I'd do that to... don't worry, it's fine. There we are.
So there you go.
That'll probably be fixed on by the
Yeah,
time
that will.
we,
We'll put the screw in there.
Yeah.
Ready for you.
We'll put the screws in.
You just wanted to show the pillion option, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You clumsy oaf. Right, 1989 Yamaha RD250 YPVS F2, stunningly restored, and it is beautiful. Tell me why you love this one so much, Steve. We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. This is it, the LC, mate. The iconic LC, the 350 LC. Men of a certain age, this is like seeing Maria Whittaker on the Big D Nuts backboard. You know when you bought the last bag of Big D Nuts and there she was in all the wonder. Look at it. Again, an iconic motorcycle, the 350 LC YPVS. Yes, Yamaha borrowed the technology, let's say borrowed, from Scott Motorcycles, who were a fine Yorkshire-based manufacturer of bikes back in the 1920s. But by the time this was built, everybody forgot about Scott. and they just thought, what a brilliant idea. Liquid cooled, 2-stroke, great looks. If it was a car, this would have been an XR3i. It sold to the same lads.
Did it?
Yeah, people that wanted something that looked the dogs, but also had the performance to go with it. And this bike was every bit of that.
It's a looker. And you want to say as well, mate, fresh paint, fresh motor. In fact, if you buy this bike, you are going to have to break this motor in. It's that fresh.
Yeah.
You are going to have to run it in as if it was a brand new bike. UK bike with matching numbers, a ton of money spent and a ton of build. But yet, £4,500 to £5,500.
Wow. They sold a lot of these, and very few survived. They were like kamikaze pilots.
Just so quick.
Well, the lads who bought them used them. You know, it's like a lot of fast cars are bought by people with loads of wedge, but no get up and go, no lead in the pencil.
Yeah.
And there are cars that are bought, Subarus, Focus STs, by lads that drive them. These were bought by lads who rode
for the riders.
Absolute whatsits off them. And so to find one like this is the best colour scheme, I think.
Well, it looks beautiful, and of course it's been restored. So like you say, it was probably had its head kicked in period, but now it's all been refreshed. And it's ready for you to either kick its head in again or ride it more leisurely, because maybe you're revisiting your youth.
You can't, because you get on this and you'll be sat at the traffic lights flipping the throttle, just because it's just, even the most mild-mannered of motorcyclists gets on one of these and he's instantly transformed into a Herbert, just revving.
I love that word. My grandparents used to use it. It's not an expensive bike though, is it? So
no.
4.5 to 5.5, that could be yours. A few fees on top. A few fees on top, don't forget. Looking back at the BSA, so the lovely 68 BSA
nice.
B44 Victor Special World Motocross Championship motorcycle.
Yeah.
MOT exempt, of course, that one. Single cylinder 4-stroke. A lovely previous restoration. Now it runs and drives. Obviously, it's I think sat in a collection like so many of our bikes have. Our consignment team is brilliant at finding bikes that have just had leisurely lives, Steve, who've sat in dehumidified, air-conditioned rooms.
Like us.
Yeah, exactly. Been looked at, been lovingly
That's why
polished.
we look so good, isn't it?
It's true, mate. You can't believe the age that we are. But so that will probably need a recommission if you would like to ride it. But as you can see, it's in phenomenal condition. 3.5 to 4 grand on that one. So it rides and drives. Just a lovely thing. So that's got obviously genuine competition history, those bikes, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, BSA like that. It's great. And again, that would be something for... There's quite a few events that you could enter in that aren't too competitive. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you're allowed to enjoy the motorcycle doing what it was built for without feeling that you're in imminent danger of death.
We don't want that.
No.
We don't want our lovely clients to
It ruins your day, Death.
It does.
I think.
And behind that is the lovely 1980s Kawasaki KLX250. Well, that's a no-reserve bike. So we do love a no reserve because the clients get to choose the price that they'd like to pay for it. And also it's the best way, if you're not sure, if you've got an interesting bike in your collection, you're thinking, I have no idea what that's worth, an auction will find that for you.
That'd be a lot of fun, that KLX250, just a field bike, like going down the back lanes.
Yeah, doing stunts and wheelies.
Yeah. Dad, full of wheelie.
Now watch this.
Watch this.
Now followed by a trip to A&E.
Watch this. Tell your mother I've got to go to the hospital.
But this one, it might not spit you off because new tyres, recent service, runs brilliantly, massive compression on this one as well. Ooh. And that's all original plastics on there too.
Really?
It is.
Right, wow.
She's beautiful, mostly original. It's had a little bit of work and tickling, but no reserve. You will tell us on Saturday what you think that bike is worth, and I think that's in remarkable condition.
Twin shocks, wow.
And as Steve says, a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Now moving around and down to this one, the 1987 Yamaha RD125. Now I remember these, I can remember going into the bike shop with my stepdad and I remember seeing these when they were new.
Yeah.
In 1987.
With the red seat as well.
Yeah. For the 125 learners, because you could have a 125, couldn't you, when you're 17?
Yes, absolutely.
I remember seeing these with the L plates on for the 17-year-olds.
Oh, for the L plate crowd, this was the ultimate.
Yeah. It's like a proper sports bike, wasn't it?
Yeah, nothing to touch it. And of course the styling, the 350, which it's helpfully sat next to so that we're able to, and of course it has YPVS, the Yamaha Power Valve System. Yeah, it's got that. So it's just basically, Yamaha are quite keen on that sort of thing. They love to have a unique selling point. You know, something for the salesman to tell you about.
So is that Yamaha's like VTEC system? Is it very, opens on a higher throttle opening to give you more?
No point in going into any more technical detail on it right now. Of course, it very rarely works because if you look at the cable operating system for it. So I hope it's working on this one. But again, here's the thing about these. They were used and used and used. They were absolutely battered until they were, and then we turned around and they sold really well at time. But people say, you never see one. Yeah, you never see one because
they were ridden by 17-year-olds
and smashed them and crashed them to bits. So to see one like this, used, yes, could do with a bit of love, but in this condition, I think that's the original exhaust system.
Do you know what though, mate? So, well, two things here. I think a lot of people who would have had this as their 17-year-old learner bike will want to have another one to relive that wonderful moment. But also, it's had a top-end rebuild and carb clean, flew through its last MOT. So, yeah, I think that one's actually remained unscathed.
I think if there's a lovely lady out there who's got a man of a certain age who's got a big birthday coming up,
oh, yeah.
she might think,
a nice 50-year-old.
Do you know what?
Yeah, yeah.
Heading for the big half a ton.
And you know what, mate? $2,000 to $2,500, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It wouldn't be a showstopper to buy that for somebody's 50th.
No.
Tuck that in the garage. Relive your youth. You don't have to kick his head in this time, though. 1963 Lambretta TV175. Just beautiful. Stunning restoration on this one as well. Beautiful paintwork. Fully rebuilt motor as well. Brand new period tyres. Starts first kick straight away and restored only last year with all the receipts. So again, you're looking at a work of art where someone has just gone all in, done everything exactly like you want them to do, and then here you are, the lucky recipient, the next owner, and she's ready to go.
But where are we going to find a scooter expert to comment knowledgeably upon this Italian?
Is this not your thing? Are you not a scooter expert?
I used to be the editor of Scooter
This is what I mean.
Paul.
So that you should know. So tell me about it. Tell me why this is such a desirable model.
TV175, yeah, built for the UK market. The Italians didn't really understand the British obsession with high-performance scooters. And people say, oh, high performance. Well, at the time, this would have had the same sort of speed as most motorcycles of equivalent capacity.
Will it do a wheelie? That's what we want to know.
Anything can do a wheelie. It depends how big the person on the back is.
Well,
if I was
riding
riding it and you were on the back, we could definitely do a wheelie. It's just got style, hasn't it?
Isn't it beautiful?
Do you remember when Stella Artois said that? Did we do this last time?
I don't know if we did. If we did, we apologise.
When they said reassuringly affordable.
Yeah.
And they had an advert. Do you remember they had an advert where they were opening, reassuringly expensive, that was it. They had an advert where they were opening a bottle of Stella on like expensive design items. They used the Lambretta and they had them opening a bottle there and chipping the paintwork. Do you know what? There was a time when I was buying these out of sheds and lockups and prefabricated council garages in and around the Bury and Bolton area for 10 quid, 20 quid. What's this one now?
You're going to need a bit more. You're going to need more like £5,000 to £5,500. But then again, if you look at the work that's gone into it, it's great value.
Yeah.
Can't stress enough, guys. Obviously, project bikes, stuff that needs a little bit of work, it's great fun to do, and you can add value, so that's a lot of fun. If you're looking to get the bargains, the ones that really give you a huge return on the money you've put in, buy fully restored stuff where somebody, because they never get their money back. When you do a restoration to these kind of standards, you never get your money back. It's all about the joy of doing the job. It's all about making something that was imperfect, perfect. That's where the joy comes from for the restorer. But if you're the second owner, you get basically probably half price, don't you? Half price what these things cost to build.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way to do it. That's it. If you just want value, that's the way to do it. If you want to have the joy of the restoration and go on that journey, buy the project bike. And we've got all sorts here. Whatever you're into, we've got it. So another beautiful scooter's coming in a minute. But before we get to that, we need to talk about this.
Now you're talking.
This is the real deal. This is not a replica.
Not a replica?
Not a replica. This is raced in MotoGP in 2000, 1998 TT. This is the real deal. Yes, sir. This is actual race bike. Not a replica, this one. So fully restored, never crashed, perfect example, beautiful paintwork, and someone spent a fortune on that. Signed by John McGuinness, raced by John McGuinness.
I was going to say, raced by John McGuinness, yeah, wow.
Raced at Donington MotoGP 2000, raced by John McGuinness at Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2023. Credibility, provenance, all of that. Plus spares, you can see if you go on the site, you'll see. This is the thing. So we're not messing about now. This is legit. This is not a replica. This is the actual bike John McGuinness rode many, many times.
Good
20 years by
speed.
Yeah, so which would also suggest it's very much eligible again. That's the thing. So if you've been invited once, you get invited back. Once a bike or a car is on the list at Goodwood, when they need that again, when they're doing that as the theme for that year, and themes reoccur, they will invite you back. You will be on the list.
But for a race bike, it doesn't like it's had too hard a life.
It's never been crashed, which is a big thing, isn't it? Loads of spares, tyre warmers, it's got sprockets. And so our current vendors had this bike for 20 years, which is most of the bike's life.
Wow.
So I'm guessing it's with the team, got sold into private hands, it's been with our collector. As you can see, it is now show quality. But in theory, you could take that out and ride it again, couldn't you? You could take that back out and have some fun with it.
Well, it depends on the number that you're going to...
to
tell me now, Mr.
Well, put it this way. Well, John McGuinness rode it only last year. So that was 2023, that bike was out and been ridden by the master in action. But the bike is now worth somewhere between 90 and 110,000 pounds.
Well, of course it is.
So whether you feel it's something that you would like to ride with any regularity, that's on you. But if you want something with real provenance that is the legit thing and possibly opens the door to Goodwood for you, there it is, for sale, ready for you to take home.
Wow.
So yes, and don't forget...
NSR500V Honda MotoGP bike. How much would a Formula 1 car cost?
Oh, millions. Millions. So that's the equivalent, isn't it? So for
That is the equivalent.
Yeah, for
and look
100
at the
grand.
condition. Wow.
It's insane. So don't forget, guys, if you fancy that and you're thinking that's a lot of money, but I would like to own it, Fast and Funded, our lovely friends on the wall there. If you're watching this video good and early, they do bike finance. By all means, give Kurt a call. He will sort you out a funding package for that. Because as an investment alone, I would imagine if you look after that, and particularly if you network your way into Goodwood and speak to John and do some fun stuff with it, that's a door opener, isn't it? It's not just a wonderful thing to own. That's a ticket to another world, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Because
I'm a bit in awe.
I know. That's why we've lit it so artistically. Because I've got friends who have bought both supercars and race cars, and the amount of people they've met and the amount of opportunities it's given them by buying genuine ex-race cars, and the things you get invited to that you wouldn't, as normal people, ever dream of getting invited to.
And look at this. Look at this. And you just know what it's going to sound like. The sound coming out of these exhausts. You know what it's going to be. It's going to be something that fires the blood, isn't it?
It's going to be insane.
The temptation to go into the garage, get it on the rollers and fire it up and just...
But you could ride that on private land. You could ride that on a track day. You could do whatever you want with that. And just to say that you own it.
Yeah.
What a thing. And you could just display it like this in your man cave, in your office. If you're a company, buy it as just a talking point. If you've got anything to do with motorsport, have that in your office.
Yeah.
It would be an amazing conversation.
Or if a company suspended on thin cables as though it's floating.
Love it.
Just there in the lobby, it'd look amazing.
Yeah, 110 grand to a company's tax write-off, isn't it? Yeah. Marketing budget, that. Get it bought. 1959 Lambretta.
Hey.
125. This is beautiful. Again,
Li125.
Yeah, Li125. Restored bike again. Now, this to me is the potential bargain of the sale, this one.
Really?
Dawn grey, fully rebuilt motor, new tyres, hardly ever used, starts on the button, got 12-volt upgrade as well. Lovely little usable 50 scooter that you could buy, Steve, for 3 to 3.5 grand. And the paintwork is actually really a little bit bubbly there. So it's got a tiny little bit to do, but it's very presentable, very pretty. So you could just get that paintwork done on the front mudguard again and have a bonny bike, couldn't you? What are they like to ride, those 50s bikes?
Terrible.
Are they?
Well, the thing is, they're beautiful and I love them. The best one for me is the SX200, but they're going for crazy money now. There's also the GT200, which had a disc brake, an enclosed disc brake on the front. So they actually stopped. But a couple of years back, I thought I might want one. And so I saw one for sale, I went to test ride it, and I thought, years have passed and it's different. But I still think they are a beautiful design.
Incredible looking thing.
Just buy one and just look at it.
Yeah, and just potter it around, potter to the pub.
Yeah, potter to the pub.
Now, Steve, would you like a light summer project?
A light summer project?
Yeah. Something that needs just a little bit of your time, but not too much.
Well, could I learn Spanish or folk dancing?
Well, you could, or if you prefer, you could buy this 1991 Yamaha TZR250R, two-stroke, with 36,000 kilometres on it. It's got lots of work carried out. It starts and it runs. It went straight through its last MOT. Current V5, good tyres, 2 keys. Just needs a tiny little bit of love. Not much. Just very, very nice.
Do you know what that is? It's fit. It's fit, this bike, isn't it? Look at that, pure two-stroke spirit. And that's what it means. Can you hear it? Hold on, let me put my... It's going to make that fantastic sound, and you're going to smell that beautiful smell.
Oh, I love a two-stroke smell. I do love it.
A Castellar.
So this is not an expensive bike. This would be 7 to 7.5 for what it is, and you could make this bike. I mean, don't get me wrong. When we're saying light summer project, we're meaning little bits of tickling and fettling. Bike rides beautifully. It will be totally usable in its current state. But if you want a concourser, you can add value. And I love bikes like that are kind of 70, 80%. You can just knock the edges off and make perfect whilst enjoying them.
Yes.
That's the thing, is it? Because that's how you keep your enthusiasm for a project, isn't it? You keep riding it or driving it.
Oh, very much so. Get it going. Get it going.
Well, that goes.
And ride it, and then you'll think, oh, I could just do with adjusting this, or I could just do that's a bit loose, or.
That's great. That flew through its last MOT, so that's actually a really, really lovely thing that you could just make utterly perfect, and probably even make a few quid on if you do. Oof. That's the good news. Looking back to the M2R, 2020, the KMX R140. I'm guessing that's a junior bike, either that or
pit bike.
Yeah, Drew Pritchard's full size.
I was going to say the height of the seat would tend to indicate it's not for the kids, because they need a step ladder to get up on there, innit?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, that's a little bike.
No, it isn't. Look how high the seat is. Look, it's a grown-up's bike. It's just got little wheels. Do you know what it is? It's a lot of fun. It
looks good.
Is. Yeah, it's a lot of fun in a small package. He said, anxious not to let it fall off the stand. They are. Yeah.
So that's a potential bargain, because it's only 4 years old. So big wheel version, that one as well. 4-stroke engine, oil cooled, kickstart, chain drive, and you could buy that for 750.
You're joking?
No, 1,200 quid.
Wow. That'd be. You'd definitely come off the back of that wheeling it across the field, wouldn't you?
It looks like.
And then you'd be walking like that. How come you walking like that?
That is an absolute bargain, isn't it? What a thing to own. And then behind that, we've got the 83 Yamaha TZR250 K. Again, a no reserve bike.
Wow.
Classic crosser.
How's it? It's not even got a ripped seat. How's
it
staying
and that's unrestored. That is literally.
That must be. Obviously, it won't have clocks on, so we don't know what miles are on it. But
totally unrestored, 6-speed bike. That one, lightweight. It's got its original owner's manual and service manual with it as well. So it's done very little with it over the last few years, but starts and runs well. Comes complete with the manual, and like he said in his description, find me another one that's completely unrestored. I can't imagine there's many of those kicking about in barns that haven't been thrashed, dropped, broken, or crashed.
I think that's slumbered for many a year in the corner of a dry garage or barn somewhere. And somebody's gone, what are you going to do with that Yamaha 125? Oh, I'll get round to it one
I'll stick it in Manor Park.
Stick it in Manor Park.
For no reserve, which is all the fun of the fair, because, again, you get to choose what it's worth. And we do love that. Now, this is gorgeous. 1987 Yamaha TZR250, fully working, 10 months MOT on that. Loving all these bikes with the long MOTs and fresh MOTs, aren't you? So it's got aftermarket panels fitted to it. Original fairings come with it too. Runs great, rides great. HPI clear, 2 keys. Lovely thing. £4,000 to £5,000 for that one. Steve, it's done 22,000 miles.
Wow. Bargoon, as my missus would say. Delta box frame, look at that. The old extruded aluminum, again, as she would say, being of North American extraction. What a great looking bike. I bet you like this tail unit, don't you?
I do. So this is aftermarket panels there. So how would this have differed aesthetically from the original?
I think they're replicas of it, but of the original panels. But obviously, if you're going to set this on classic track days, which is a big deal now. I've just started going on the old classic track days. Went to one last time we were here. I went.
Is that for classic bikes or classic riders?
That's with classic bike shows. Their track days are very much aimed at people who appreciate machinery of this.
And is it all very gentlemanly conduct? Is it after you?
No, it's gentlemanly conduct, because we're all cracking on a bit.
And no one wants to fall off or get hurt.
Well, people do, because enthusiasm. once you get the fire in your belly, and our bellies are getting bigger, then But a lot of fun. Wow.
That's pretty.
How much this one?
Well, not much, mate. For that beautiful condition and everything we've just said, £4,000 to £5,000.
Yeah.
An awful lot of bike for the money. This, to me, is just calling my name. This is beautiful. Come on, Mr. X Scooter Magazine editor. Talk to me about the 1968 Lambretta Li125, restored to perfection with 7 miles on the fully restored odometer, overhauled motor with 7 miles on it, brand new tyres, brand new paint. Motor still needs breaking in this one. It's got X200 lookalike badges.
Ah!
Once for nothing, except for you to tell me a little bit more about it.
Ah, so it's an Li125,
Yeah,
but it's masquerading as an SX200.
that's correct.
So that's like if you had a Cortina
Yeah.
and it was a Lotus Cortina. So you put the green stripe down the side and you did all the stuff to it. Because I looked at it and thought, it's got the ventilated enclosed disc brake on the front, which means these things actually stop. It's got the SX200 badging on here, or Repro SX200 badging on here, because that's super expensive and super rare to find that in that sort of condition. But I'll tell you what, isn't it bonny?
Isn't it? But look, it's got
what a great looking
brand new
scooter.
seat, but it's still got the plastic on.
Look at that.
That's how new it is. You would be the owner that takes the plastic off the seat handle and breaks the motor in. So this is like buying a brand new scooter, except for the fact the price ticket, 3,750 to 4,250.
What?
You ain't going to buy a new one for that, are you?
SX200, a real one of this vintage, looking virtually identical to this. 25K.
So for less than a quarter of that,
Wow.
you could have pretty much the same driving experience. Even the great Steve Berry, for a second, thought it was a real one.
Well, I wasn't, not really, but...
But you have to look twice.
But I have to
look
admit, I did have to look twice, and I have to admit, it's a lot of scooter for the money.
Do you know what? And if I can make you look twice for a quarter of the price, I have won. So that's mega. And like I say, if you buy that, you're running it in. You are running the motor in, you're running the bike in, and you're taking the plastic off the seat.
Oh,
that's a lovely feeling,
all
isn't
these
it?
Lambrettas, it's making me want one.
Well, you get one.
No.
You're working on Saturday. You can just give us the feedback.
No, I've had all of them.
And let's talk about this.
So we're back at that race.
So here we are, look. So this is, again, no replicas here.
No.
The actual 1998 Yamaha TZR250K Lee Pullen's bike, this one.
Right.
It's a tribute. Never crashed. Runs and rides perfectly. Tool case, spare wheels, show wheels, spare seat covers.
So is this a TT bike?
Yeah. It's a tribute, it says here.
Right.
So I'm guessing not the real one. But having said that, it looks very much... I mean, this, you know what's in here? This is all jet spares.
Yeah.
So this, if it's not raced, it's got everything to race.
Yeah.
So let me go into the next page of the description and tell you some more. So this was... Well, there's loads of stuff on this one. So lots about the whole bike in general. Yeah, so this is definitely a tribute bike, but it is immaculate. It is a show quality bike.
So it's a tribute bike built by the people who ran the original bike.
I would get, I don't know his honest answer, but it's got everything with it. Everything with it. So everything you see here, all of these spares, and please go online and have a look at what we've got with it. Everything comes with it.
So classic bike track days are built for this bike. And this bike has been run, or are we once again in the land of something that's effectively brand new and you're just...
No, it has been run and she's ready to go. So it's got everything. It's got a set of track wheels, a set of show wheels.
Yeah, it's got everything there.
Yeah, a set of panels, got spare panels and everything to go with it as well. The difference is, of course, because it is a tribute rather than a real deal, you're talking 18 to 20. So you're getting all the fun of the fair for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
So I like that very much. That does look good, doesn't it? So you can either get the real deal if you're feeling super flush and you want to head into six figures,
or
get the real deal, or have a tribute for a fifth.
And then, if like me, when you inevitably fall off it,
it won't matter.
Well, it will, but you won't be as upset as you would be as you would be over there.
But that's a fabulous thing. So please do, if you're looking at those, and also if you want to come and have a look what's in the boxes, there's everything, as I say, for setup. There's a different setup in every box there. Sprockets, dampers, jets. Everything.
Jets. We have carburetors on this. Wow. Right. Okay.
So have a look. Yeah. It's proper. Absolutely proper.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter how good a rider you think you are, that bike will match. A 62 Lambretta Li125. Lots of Li125s.
Yeah.
Series 3, fully restored, iconic moped from the early 60s.
Moped? How dare you? Do you want to be struck?
So fully restored, overhauled motor, imported in...
I'm not talking to you. It's not a moped. Look at it. It's
beautiful paint job with some shiny chrome. It's got some sort of tribal motif going on here.
Well, it's a tribute to Stockport's own Fred Perry.
What's this on the side? Talk to me about this. Is that?
I think those are the sort of tattoos that...
Is that Celtic tattoo?
Mel B used to have in the 90s. You know what I mean? Yeah, a bit of a tribal thing going on there. Might have to lose that, but that'd be easy enough.
Fully running order, this one as well. It says it's got 540 miles on the odometer since it was restored, which has been done very nice. And our lovely vendor says it runs and rides as it should.
And it's got a spanny on it. Look at that, an expansion chamber. And these Sundance grips. I had Sundance grips on my scooter.
They look good, don't they?
Yeah, they're horrible. They're
But they look good.
Well, they're made out of metal, so all the vibration. But it looks great, doesn't it? It's got a great, it's in fantastic condition.
So Steve Berry would take the sticker off, and then once you've done that, you'd have a magnificent machine. Yeah. £3,500 to £4,000, all the hard work done, and I think she's ready to go. Absolutely fabulous.
Absolutely.
Moving on to this, I'm sure we had this in the last sale.
Yeah.
And it's good to see it back again, but we'd like to find it at home.
We would, because it's a lovely bike.
It is
it's
stunning,
in great condition.
It is, and it's not an awful lot of money either. So this is an 86 Suzuki GF250, restored to the nth.
4-cylinder 250, or is it a twin with twin port exhaust?
These are Steve Berry questions.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, sorry, Paul.
This is why I have you. This is literally why we've employed you, because this is way above my pay grade. So that when there's tricky bike questions, which go above my head, which is 95% of them,
well, I go,
Steve.
I think, how can it possibly have 4 cylinders when it's only a 250? Because that would mean that the pistons would have to be like thimbles. But of course, there have been literally millions of motorcycles produced with only 50 cc's.
Yeah.
And they've only had most of them 1 cylinder, although there have been motorbikes with 50 cc's with more than 1 cylinder. So yeah, well, it's got a red seat. Look at the condition of it. It's a rare bike. It's at its time, it would have been an expensive motorcycle to buy.
Not today. Not today. No, that's the good news. So it's a beautiful restoration. It's had a lot of paintwork, a lot of new parts, fresh service as well. And the paintwork, I really can't point enough to the quality of that paintwork. It is gorgeous. Starts on the button, Steve. Sat on lovely tyres as well. It's just had a new battery. Have a look at the engine detailing as well, Fraser. It's gorgeous. And Steve, guess what? I mean, look at things like the rear caliper. That's all been apart, restored, beautifully painted. Stunning bike, but all of that, Steve, £2,500 to £3,000 estimates. That just seems like an enormous amount of work.
Surely somebody's got to want a bike this rare and this good looking.
Yeah. But again, even if you can't think of riding it, or like me, you have to get management permission from the wife, buy it and just stick it in the man cave or she shed and just...
The she shed?
The she shed, yeah. Because, it's 2024. Girls riding bikes too. So you never know. But that is, to me, I love the look of that. Love the proportion of tyre to wheel to mudguard. There's a ratio, isn't there, on cars as well, of tyre to wheel to arch, and that bike has it on the front wheel.
It's all about proportion.
It really is. It really is. Moving on to this is much more your era, 1959.
You cheeky sod. What are you talking about?
1959, when Steve was at school, the AGS Model 8 was a big seller. Lovely, complete example, this one. MOT exempt, of course, everything exempt, this one. 4-speed manual, registered as historic, so you'll not be paying for no tax, no MOT. I mean, I know you don't pay for those things anyway, but on this one, you can do it legally.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
AJS, one of the great names of British motorcycling. They won what is effectively the MotoGP. They won the first one.
Did they?
Yep. Les Graham, 1947, AJS, Stuart Graham's dad. Stuart Graham, resident of this part of the world, race bikes, race cars. You see him at the Chumley Pageant of Power in his Camaro. And
Chumley Pageant of Power? I've not been there
that was a great event,
it was a good event, that one.
Round here. Look at that. What a handsome bike that is. Resplendent in its gloss black paintwork.
It's beautiful. It's just fully running, fully rideable, this one, Steve. So it'll give you a huge amount of pleasure, but what it won't do,
go on,
tax your bank account. Because we've estimated this at £1,800 to £2,500.
Wow. It seems incredible that you can buy it.
And it's got electronic ignition, so you've got all the old look, but it should start and run.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the projects now. So do you fancy a Triumph Tiger project?
Love a project.
Do you want to lock yourself in the shed for many months and emerge like that scene in the A-Team with something absolutely... Because I've got the very
Why
bike
did you leave them in those workshops?
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Lathes and welding equipment and stuff like that. Of course they were going to build a tank. I would. Me and you would if we were left in there.
So there you go. If we got left in with this, what would we create? Hopefully something as nice as some of the restorations we've seen. But this is, of course, no reserve. Barn find, genuine barn find bike. So either take it apart, build something beautiful. And what would be amazing, wouldn't it, is if hopefully you're here in 2 or 3 years' time, working with me, doing this, and then this bike comes back.
Oh, wouldn't it be great?
Wouldn't it be amazing? If you do that, guys, if you buy a project bike from us and you bring it back and we are lucky enough to sell it the second time, please let us know, because Steve and I would love to see. We'll even dig out the original clip of us talking about it and then...
And it's complete, this bike, isn't it? There's nothing missing.
It is, yeah. So
yeah,
it's been offered as part of a deceased estate, which is always sad, but it's lovely to find new homes for these things. Registered historic, one owner on the V5.
Wow.
So yeah, as you can see, probably work on the fact, guys, if you're bidding on this particularly remotely, that you will need to do everything. We can't tell
everything.
You.
Yeah.
So budget on a full resto.
But it looks like it's all there.
I think it is, yeah.
And
Well,
that's with a project, that's a big deal, isn't it? If there's all kinds of things missing, you're like, ugh, where am I going to get one of them? But
so it's on sale from the very first bid. Could be a lot of fun. Could keep you out of mischief. Lock yourself in the garage over the winter. Come up with something nice at the end. 57 AGS Model 18 is this one here. Again, 4-speed manual, registered as historic. It's mostly complete. There's a few bits missing from the bike you see here.
Yeah,
we've also got some boxes as well.
Right.
So do have a rummage through the boxes. Remember, guys, we've got time. If you can come in person, feel free to have the rummage yourself. If you can't get in person,
I love a rummage, me.
By all means, give us a bell. The team will rummage for you, and if need be,
no, you're going to rummage yourself
and get on face to face. If you're in America, that's hard, isn't it, or Australia?
Isn't it illegal there?
What, a long distance rummage?
Yeah.
But we will do a long distance rummage for you, and we will go through those boxes, and if need be, FaceTime.
Well, we're insured for it.
We are.
That's why we're allowed
Professional
to do it.
rummagers. Right, the 1953 AGS Model 16, and of course all these bikes, no reserve, on sale from the first bid. Come and bag yourself a bargain. Come and bag yourself a project. Have some fun over the winter. This is mega. 53 AGS, again registered as historic. Complete bike again. All nuts and bolts are there. She's ready to pull apart and put back together.
Yep.
You just got to do the
It's
work.
all there.
You just got to do the work. No reserve, that one. Absolutely gorgeous. Now this is an interesting one. An imported
Yes.
1981 Honda C70 Passport.
Love it.
Literally mobilised the world, this bike, didn't it?
Didn't it?
Yeah. So
Do you know they just stopped making them?
Have they?
Literally, yeah. The world's most popular internal combustion engine vehicle of any kind.
That I totally believe. And literally,
Well, they've stopped making the 50s.
can you just get spares for this bike anywhere in the world?
Yeah, anywhere.
On any street
That's
corner?
why. You know, like Ewan and Charlie went around the world on big BMW GSs, he said, pointing over there in a minute. What they should have gone around the world on is these.
Because anyone could have fixed
wherever
it.
you are, if you say Honda, they'll think you mean one of these.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll have bits for it. They'll have everything for it, or they could just fix it.
So it needs a little bit of love, needs a bit of restoration, although it's very tidy, very clean, isn't it?
Do you
So
think it needs restoration?
Well, it says here it does, but I tell you what, I think that's been very mean. I would say that doesn't need much at all.
The Honda Passport, it was called. Were they trying to sell it to Americans?
Way up.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. There we go. So again, on sale. So that's, by the way, that lovely little Honda is £1,000 to 1,300 quid.
Oh,
if
right.
you fancy that.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't, we're saying a restoration project, but I don't think it needs much. I really don't, other than you to sort it out. So let's go to this motorbike and sidecar. This is a 1991 Yamaha FJ, which is a great engine, because the Legends use those FJ engines, don't they?
They do. Well spotted.
The Legend race cars. So
Yeah.
they are durable, hardy little things that can run at max revs all day.
Yep.
And I used to manage a stunt driver called Terry Grant, and he had a Legend, and he would run that for half an hour at
Yep.
Redline.
Oh, yeah.
And it never broke.
Oh, these are legendary tourers. And when I started out in the world of motorcycle journalism all those years ago, most journalists would own one of these as their, the bike that they actually own.
But this is a great looking motorbike and sidecar.
Do you think?
I think it is. I think it's very funny. You could also go canoeing.
Does it detach?
I don't know.
If
It
you
looks
ever
like it
see
should.
a motorbike and sidecar in a film or a TV program, it's only there because at some point they're going to become separated from each
for
other.
lols.
And the sidecar's just going to go off on its own, isn't
Hey,
it?
I've got an idea, because my missus has said...
Oh,
that-
hold on.
Because she said no motorbike.
Me and you are
Well,
gonna-
yeah,
yeah.
because she said no motorbike because you might fall off.
How is it, right, when I ever suggest anything related to motorcycling, I automatically think that me and you could build on what is a burgeoning friendship and
love.
go off together
Yeah.
on a motorbike adventure. And you're always trying to include your blinking missus.
No, but she's got to give me permission. So that my whole car collection...
Do you not like going off with the lads? What's the...
Well, no, it's just because she's worried about me
Ah,
falling
right.
off. You see, that's what it is.
Oh.
She's worried about me falling off. So, this could be the answer.
She could be in here,
Yeah,
in the canoe bit.
I love it. But we could go together. But what I'm saying is maybe this is the
Oh,
stepping
okay.
stone to
I
bike
could be on the
ownership.
back, she could be in the sidecar, and the three of us could go off together.
But this is no reserve.
No reserve, wow.
So this just needs a bit of a recommission team. So get this, get in it, get your shopping in there. I mean, this is pure practicality, isn't it?
You're shopping. Can you imagine?
Sidecar with electric. It's got a Netta aftermarket exhaust, and
Yeah.
it is yours for the taking to do whatever with you want. Go on a biking holiday with Steve Berry.
I used to be what was it, the chairman or the whatever of the Jumbo Club, which is the motorbike and sidecar charity. Yeah, I took over because Ted Dexter, who I think was the England cricket captain, he was the honorary chairman and he died and they asked me if I'd like to do it. Oh. And so I went on a couple of their rallies and they're a different breed. See, that's the thing about motorcycling. People look at motorcyclists and think, oh, motorcyclists are the same. But I think as you're beginning to understand, Paul, we're like the Indians of the Great Plains. You've got your Sioux, you've got your Blackfoot, you've got your Cheyenne. We're all different, but underneath, we're all the same.
Yeah. So many scenes. But you could buy this if you fancy doing Wallace and Gromit recreation. If you fancy your own.
I knew you'd say that at some point, Wallace. But it's obvious out of us two which one's Wallace and which one's Gromit, isn't it?
Exactly. They know at home. They know
absolutely.
at home. We've got one last thing to show you, as you say. So there you go. That's no reserve. You choose the price. I think that could be a lot of fun. And also, if like me, you're not allowed to go two-wheeled motorcycling, maybe that's your way of exploiting the loophole in the regulations.
Oh, here we are.
2004 BMW R1200 GS, a well-maintained machine.
Wow. Big miles though, yeah?
It's done 33,000 miles, which I would say for a Beamer is like running in, isn't it?
Nothing for one of these. Yeah.
This is a man-sized bike. I would fit on this. This would suit me. So well-maintained, 8 months MOT, starts on the button as you'd expect from a Beamer, runs and rides great, UK bike with matching numbers, all the bills, and that owner rode it all the way around Spain last year, apart from stopping for ice cream.
Yep.
Nothing.
Well, there's a new version of this that's just come out, the 1300. Everybody's raving about it. It's a great bike. I've ridden it briefly once. However, it's not cheap, the new 1300 GS. The one thing it's not is cheap.
But you know what this is? Cracking value. 3 to 3.5 grand.
Oh, you're joking.
But do you want to know the comedy kicker?
You're joking.
You want to know the comedy kicker for this, though?
Go on.
If it was a BMW car, what's the one thing that you never see working on a BMW car?
The indicators.
Yeah. Do you know what's not working on this?
The indicators. Hey!
So there you go. So write your own punchline on this. Our lovely vendor says the bike runs mint, utterly mint, but occasionally the indicators don't work, which I think car people would argue on a BMW. Yeah. That's standard, so they'll do that. So there you go. So budget a little bit of time and money to fix the indicators, or just understand that being a BMW, no one's expecting you to use them anyway. Yeah.
You have to learn how to get on and off these. So the trick to do is to, like, if you can get on from that side and set off, because otherwise, I mean,
that's a big bike for you, isn't it?
It's a big bike, but I do love these. I love riding them. They're just so good at everything that you want them to do.
Yeah.
And people have said to me, if you could have one bike, you could ride forever. I mean, I love that Ducati 916. I love that Honda CBX. But if you said to me, one bike, you got to ride one bike from now till the end of time, it'd be this.
Well, there you go. GS. What a wonderful place to end it. If you have seen anything you like, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment. Also, if you'd like to see me and Steve do a spin-off bike series where I get my bike license, if I can get it past Mrs. Cowland, leave that in the comments too. And don't forget, if you want to be here on Saturday, we open from 9. Fun starts from 10. Steve will be here talking about bikes. If you want any advice from the man himself on which ones you should buy, what to do, what the hot mods are.
I want all of them. Don't ask me.
I know.
I like all of them.
Or if you want to actually, if you buy the bike that we think might have been Steve's, we will find that out before Saturday. He will sign the tank and devalue it even further. So anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you at the sale.